It's the most wonderful time of the year. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the High Tempo Sports Podcast. This is episode 218. Like I just said, it's the best time of the year because it is March Madness time. Easton, back on the podcast today. How we doing today, Easton?
Good. I was really confused on the whole wonderful time of the year. It was just St. Patty's Day. That's a Christmas song. I didn't really know where you're going to, but now I get it. The March Madness. It is the best time of the year.
It just didn't, the whole topic of today's show did not click in your head when I was saying that.
That's why it was such a wonderful time of the year.
Okay.
I thought it might have been because I'm on. I thought maybe it was because
that's a little selfish.
Maybe. It might be a little self-centered.
By the way, this is the first podcast in I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. Just been pretty busy lately, so sorry for the little bit of a hiatus with the podcast. But we're back today to talk college basketball. Last time Easton was on, we did a pretty fun list, 2K GOAT, so that was a lot of fun. But today, we're doing something that we've done on this podcast for the last 3 years now. Mm-hmm. We fill out a bracket live on the podcast, and it goes into our high-tempo bracket group, which you're probably like, what? You guys have a high-tempo bracket group? How do I join that? Oh, this is how you join that. Go to my Instagram. Go to the High Tempo Podcast Instagram. If you have me on Snapchat, go on Snapchat. The link's there. If you don't have any of social media accounts other than ESPN Bracket Challenge app, just search High Tempo Bracket Group and throw your bracket in there. Anybody can join, trying to run up the numbers. There's 23 people in it right now, I believe. So if you're in one of those 23 people, shout out to you. If you're not in yet, what are you doing?
It's for real, the number one group ever after
it is
this season. This season will establish it finally as the number one all-time group ever.
It's the number one all-time group because it's the coolest group ran by the coolest dudes, and I get to have two brackets in there. We get to have two brackets in there, which is the coolest part. Yeah.
It's we get cheating. 1.5.
Yeah.
We get 1.5.
But the one that we do together is always goofy. Last year we had UCLA winning the whole thing, I'm pretty sure. They didn't win the whole thing.
And it's the one that actually matters, whether you like it or not. I care more about our combined bracket than I do about
I probably do.
Bracket.
I probably do as well.
I want us to do well.
Yeah, because it's just funny.
If you don't feel that way, then we need to rethink our
partnership. I think I do feel that way. But yeah, once again, High Tempo Bracket Group. Go join it. Trying to get as many people as possible. No password, no buy-in. We're just trying to load up on the people. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're going to be listening to this on Wednesday. We're recording this on Tuesday night. You still have a whole day and a half to throw any bracket of your choosing in there. I got a question to ask you. I tweeted this last night. There is really nothing like filling out a March Madness bracket. There is nothing truly like the sensation of filling out a bracket because I put off filling out my first bracket. They came out Sunday night or whatever. I didn't fill out my first one until maybe midday Monday.
Wow, you took your time.
I'm not one of the people that jumps right on it. I got to sit there and think about it. But the second I fill one of them out, cancel my plans for the next 2 hours. I'm filling them out the whole rest of that time. I don't think 25 is nearly enough on the ESPN Tournament Challenge app. 25 brackets is not enough brackets.
Do you think it should be unlimited?
I think it should be unlimited. And I don't think it shouldn't be unlimited because I would never end. I would never stop.
Sicko.
Because like I said, I could have 100 brackets and be like, shit, dude, I didn't have that one bracket that has Colorado State in the Final Four. Yep. I need to account for every possible outcome. I'm not one of those guys that's I need this many brackets so that I can get one perfect. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I want to be the guy that had freaking, I don't even know, that had Drake in the Final Four,
Yeah, yep. No,
I want to be that guy.
So the issue with this is an issue that we're all experiencing. If you do unlimited brackets, you open the door for people to do unlimited fill-outs, which would be an issue. Because into what's going on with AI, with a lot of things, somebody would automate it so that, it's going to not make it fun anymore. I think there does have to be an upper limit.
No, there does.
Of 100. Right.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I said I could have 100 of them, and it still wouldn't be enough.
But you're a sicko. Do you know how many brackets I filled out? One. I filled out one bracket.
See, and this is where I've changed. I used to be, up until maybe 3 years ago, I used to be the guy that filled out one bracket for every, but I'm always in a bunch of groups.
Yeah, so you make one
every
bracket.
Every group, though, it's the same bracket. The same bracket for every group. I used to be that way because I hated trying to keep track of
all your brackets.
But I found myself getting too invested into being heartbroken when Northwestern hits a buzzer beater against Colorado. Yep. That, and so that's why I switched it completely. Whereas, like, why would I not fill out all 25 brackets? I can account for everything that happens so that no matter what buzzer beater is hit, I'm happy. I'm not heartbroken by two random teams I don't care about when a crazy moment happens. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy, you know?
You're like the best kind of fan. Like, to think that you used to fill out one bracket and care so much that you had to start filling out multiple so that one bracket going bad didn't hurt as bad is like shows how much you care. Like, do you know how many people don't feel that way?
A lot of people.
A lot. You were and I want to take this moment for you to acknowledge that you're a sicko. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you've got a basketball watching problem because when you start filling out, you spent 2 hours filling out.
I didn't
brackets.
actually, like, I've only filled out 10 so far, which only
Wait,
10.
You're
is,
gonna
like,
fill out
funny.
all 25.
I'll get to 25. Yeah, like I filled out the 10th one will be the one that we are filling out today.
Well, and the thing, and here is one thing that I really think mentally, as you fill out more brackets, you feel more and more confident in the next one. At least that's the way I do. At least until my first like 15.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel, and I usually don't get to 15.
See, the way I do it is like I fill out all my brackets for like the important groups first. And honestly, a majority of those are somewhat similar. Like, biasly, I have MSU knocking off North Carolina in like every single one of those ones. You know, probably shouldn't, but I do. I have UConn, Iowa State, Elite Eight matchup up top left, like in every single one of those. For the ones that I'm actually in groups. All the other ones that I fill out, that's when I start experimenting. Like, as I'm filling them out, I'm like, okay, the next one I do, I'm going to have Auburn knock off UConn in the
St.
Sweet
Mary's
16.
is making a run in
Exactly.
this one.
The next one I'm going to have, I'll do it this way this time, but the next one I'm going to have Tennessee losing in the second round. Like, stuff like that. So that's kind of how that's why I can't stop. I make one and I'm like, oh, I want to do something different for the next one.
Yeah. Because you instantly are like, oh man, but I can really see that happening. Guess I have to make a whole nother one for that scenario in that first round.
Exactly.
I have to have somebody else winning that first round.
And I think the best part about the filling out the bracket is just like when you do so many of them, it's just whatever happens. Like you're filling them out, and next thing you know, you got 11 seed Oregon in your Final Four, and you're like,
it could happen.
Like that's how this bracket went. Like it's just how. That's why I used to be so stressed out filling out a bracket. that I think was why I like switched to the 25 thing, which I don't need to do all 25. You know, it can be like 12 or whatever.
I think it's good that you do.
But
you avoid March Sadness.
I do, exactly. There's still March Sadness when your team is involved, obviously. But when I filled out the one bracket, I would get so stressed out filling out that bracket, dude. Like I'm not even just saying that as like a joke. Like I would legit be sitting there like anxiety, just like, oh my God, dude. Like I'll sit there on a game, look at it and think about it for 5 minutes trying to figure out like, oh, they're going to lose like in the first round and I got them in the Elite Eight, like just freaking out for no reason.
Whether you like it or not, you've always been a basketball guy. Like, of any friend group that you're in, you're one of the basketball guys. Right. So you have to do well in your bracket because if Willie comes along and smokes you, you get to hear about it.
It's not even at that age. It's not even
when
that.
We're 13. Like it's like you have. That's how you do. You know ball.
Right.
Like, do you really know ball?
It's not even that. It's your mom has a better bracket than you. You know? It's your aunt. Your Aunt Patty fills out a better bracket. Know ball? And that's why I don't care as much anymore because that's how March Madness works.
Yep.
My grandma filled out a bracket last year based on all the mascots. Now, it didn't do that great, but it could have been better than all my brackets.
There are years where that happens.
Exactly.
You see every year the crazy story of the girl who's never watched a basketball game who filled out this
has
incredible
a perfect bracket until the second weekend.
Like an incredible bracket. And it happens all the time. Because us basketball people, we also overthink things. We think we've got it figured out. And you can't because there's a one in it's 62 to the 63rd power or something.
An incredible amount of
numbers. Unbelievable amount.
You're probably more likely to walk into the gas station, win $1 million lottery ticket, walk out, get struck by lightning.
Yeah. Oh, I think that is like much more likely. I think you could go in, buy 2 lotto tickets worth $1 million, walk out, get struck by lightning twice. And that still would be more likely to happen.
Here's what I wonder too: is it $1 billion or $1 million that Warren Buffett says he'll give to the winner? Like that. That's that thing.
$1 million.
I think it's $1 million.
Which
right?
like that number, inflation has happened.
It should be like 4 or 5 by now.
Inflation happened.
But also, that's not like a set in stone thing. Like he's not like signing a contract that says like I'll be doing it. Right? It's just kind of, I think he just says it. Has he said it in the last like 10 years? Because I remember when we were little kids that like that was a thing. And I don't think he's ever come out and made a statement like every single year I'm giving out $1 million. You know, like I feel like we just say that as a March Madness community. Is he really going to give $1 million if it ever, like, it's not ever going to happen.
I'm just really thinking, I haven't heard anything from Warren Buffett in 10 years.
It's exactly what I'm saying. But every year it gets brought up. Every year it gets brought up that, like, Warren Buffett, elite marketing strategy.
For real.
10 years ago saying that. Because, I mean, I don't know what he's marketing.
And I don't know what he
just
does.
His name.
Who is Warren Buffett?
He's the owner of some huge company.
Like, he clearly isn't doing the right things. I know what Elon Musk owns.
Yeah, but you know the name Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And he markets himself, I guess.
As Warren Buffett, the guy who gives out $1 million of his however billions of dollars
billions
he has.
and trillions,
He's going to be really generous, and he's going to give out $1 million
Thanks,
to
Warren.
the luckiest person ever.
To something that will never, ever happen.
Like, that's his contribution.
So you have one bracket filled out. So
right
far.
now, yeah. Yep.
Who's going all the way?
I have UConn winning it all.
Okay,
Boring. I've got Creighton and Kentucky in it as well.
Ooh, Creighton. You always take a run on Creighton, I feel like.
I like
year.
Creighton.
Yeah, something about them Omaha guys.
Yeah, it's just, and I made this like, I don't know, not too long ago, like today, when I say I made this not too long ago. And I'm going to make more. But who else? Who's my last team? Because this isn't like my
You said Creighton,
North Carolina, UConn,
Kentucky.
North Carolina, Kentucky, and Creighton.
Okay.
So 1 versus 1 on one side, and then 3 versus 3.
Nice.
I took Iowa State far. I got UConn versus Kentucky in the final. Even though like Kentucky is always supposed to be the team that makes the run, and they don't.
Right.
So I'm thinking this is the year.
It could be.
Could be.
I have Kentucky going far in quite a lot of brackets as well. And this is it's not.
I don't want to have UConn winning it in our bracket.
No, we won't. Definitely.
We gotta have something.
We're gonna have something. Like last year, we had like a
low-key,
5 seed winning it all.
Iowa State.
It could be. Well, we have to fill it out still. Like
Yeah,
I have a couple
we got
brackets with
vibes.
Iowa State filling it out.
We got to feel the vibe.
Iowa State, man, they're a fun squad, and they've been all year. And they obviously just whooped on Houston in the Big 12 championship, so everyone's kind of like talking about Iowa State. But they've been playing clamps, and I think you got to rock with those teams that play clamps at the end of the day. Like those are the teams you got to trust more than the teams that put up hella points.
Yep, and it stinks because one of those teams who puts up hella points is going to make the run. They're going to score 80 in the first 3 games. But you always want to rely on the defense. But one of the defenses is going to get torched in a game.
And then that same team will go put up 55 in the Elite 8 game the next
for real
game
and get
lose.
blown out of the water. And like, what a waste. You beat a good team for what? For what?
That probably will happen, and that's the best part about March Madness because no one knows what's going to happen.
Nobody knows.
No one knows no one can predict it except me last year because I had a futures bet on UConn to win the whole thing, placed like a month before the tournament started. So
you knew.
Call me a genius.
Yep, we've got good. We're in good hands.
And
we're
I know
like
something that you love. There's only like 7 teams that can win the championship this year based on all the
Ken Pom.
Not even that. It's like you have to be top 12 in the week 6 AP poll, and you got to be top 57 in offensive efficiency.
Are built to lose early. Don't trust these top seeds.
That's the best part about March Madness is like the TikToks of just like, and it's funny because
Purdue loses early often.
These
Don't
teams
take
will
them.
bust your bracket. You better not pick them. Like, dude, you don't know shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, I can make that video.
Like, dude, you're going to make that video and make that bracket, and your girlfriend, who's never watched a day of basketball in her life, is going to fill out a better bracket.
For real. And you are the expert.
Yeah.
You made TikToks about
These are the best upset picks. And then it's like the 4 picks that everyone is picking. You know?
It's just lame.
It's just
lame. It's the bad part of social media.
So before we get into everything else that we're talking about today, we are going to be doing to continue the college basketball trend, we're going to be doing our top 5 favorite college basketball players from our favorite school first. So it'll be my top 5 MSU players ever, Easton's top 5 Michigan players ever. And then also on top of that, we're going to be doing our top 5 non-MSU/Michigan players ever that we've gotten to watch. It's not the best guys ever. It's just our favorites ever. So we're going to talk about that. Before we talk about that, though, Michigan, Juwan Howard, gone. I know you have been a non-watcher of Michigan basketball the past maybe year and maybe I'll say year and a half because you probably were tuned in a little bit last year, I would assume. This has got to be good news for Michigan fans because it changes the tide of the program.
The return of Easton as a fan. It will be. I got really sick and tired of the de-evolution of the Hunter Dickinson offense. The way the Hunter Dickinson offense got worse in his 3 years. Like somehow we learned how to utilize him in less creative ways and in worse spots. and in more it never got more dynamic. The Hunter Dickinson led offense, and I believe that was a full reflection of our coach, who had just continuously gotten worse as more and more of his players were there. The further we got away from John Beilein's program, the worse Juwan Howard's looks. In those first 2 years, it was like, whoa. Like, Juwan Howard's recruiting out his, we're supposed to get all these huge talents who, by the way, never came.
Yeah.
We would get the occasional.
Which, we'll say, not necessarily Juwan Howard's fault.
Not
More
always,
of a academic related
Terrence
situation.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Totally academic.
Should have came to Michigan, yeah.
But then you do, a lot of the other guys, and I'm forgetting all of them in all honesty.
Recruits.
Josh Christopher.
Yeah, say Josh Christopher, Isaiah Todd, who was initially committed.
Todd,
yep. They lost other guys in general. Jalen Wilson was originally supposed to come to Michigan. This was right when Juwan Howard got hired. He's already been a 4-year guy at Kansas at this point, but yeah,
I guess Musa ended up coming.
Musa came. Yeah,
Musa came.
But I think you expected Juwan Howard as a former player at Michigan, as a former NBA assistant coach, a guy that recruits would look at and be like, okay, this guy, if anyone's going to help me get to the league, which is the ultimate goal at the end of the day, it's a guy that played and coached in the league. And you just would expect Juwan Howard to have a recruiting to be his number one thing that he's good at. That's what you would expect.
Yes, I didn't expect the X's and O's to be super, super clean, but I did expect top talent every year, and not
Yeah. You don't expect Tom Izzo to out-recruit Juwan Howard, essentially.
At whatever age Tom Izzo's at.
And especially a guy who's never really consistently had top classes.
Yeah, it got really ugly, and Juwan's attitude got worse. There was no heart anymore. Michigan doesn't have an identity. They just go out there and they play, and they lack heart from what I watched earlier this year. That was the main, and low key though, shout out Terrence Williams, because that dude evolved into a you know what, this guy at least plays extremely hard, and nobody else is doing that right now.
Shout out Will Cheddar, he plays hard.
Yeah, okay,
I hate
Cheddar.
him, though.
But Cheddar's tough too.
Yeah.
But that's and so that's really why I'm excited about Juwan. It gives me a new foot to a reason to come back and watch, because I haven't had that reason honestly since Dickinson's left. And Dickinson's last year I wasn't even it got harder and harder as the year went on.
Especially as the year ended for them.
And the Juwan Howard, the hitting other coaches stuff. You don't want to sit here and defend it. Yeah. Especially when we're going through and we're watching football, and it's Jim Harbaugh goes through all these scandals, but at least he handles them well. He's not acting a fool. I
mean, on Warren Manuel's watch, Juwan Howard handles these well because he made it to the end of the season, which is just crazy to me that he even made it through the season. It's going to be probably a rough start to whoever comes in as the coach. They've already lost. They had a top 30 recruit coming into this class who's already declassified, obviously, with a new coaching staff coming in. Doug McDaniel is set to hit the transfer portal. He already didn't play in half the games this year anyways due to academic situations. So it's going to be probably a rough go at first. But once you hire in your guy, the Michigan job is an enticing job for outsiders. This is a job that guys who are really good coaches at mid-tier Power 5 schools might look to make an upgrade at, the South Carolinas of the world, those kind of schools, Texas A&Ms, potentially Michigan could be a better job if you feel that way. So I'm excited to see who goes there. I'm excited. As much as it's cool as an MSU fan to see Michigan blow, I miss the days where Michigan and Michigan State were two of the top teams in the Big Ten, man, when they played each other in the Big Ten championship. When they were both 2 seeds on Selection Sunday, We're at a point where Michigan has missed the tournament 2 straight times, and MSU has gone into the tournament crossing their fingers, that we're going to get in. I don't like that. I love when both the teams are good, and I would love obviously someday for them to play each other in the tournament because we have never seen that. I don't know if it's ever happened in general. So I'm excited to see how the Michigan coaching decision goes this offseason. And depending on who it is, they might bring a lot of their own recruits and transfers as well. So we'll see.
Okay, team went on a run. I'm just thinking of Michigan guys, so I could see being the next Michigan coach. Even though he's got the ball rolling, Rick Pitino would be we want to get
Pitino is.
We want to stay in scandals and stay in hot water. Let's go hire that.
Yeah,
guy.
he seems like a Michigan guy
for real.
I've always liked Rick Pitino.
Me too.
He couldn't come to Michigan after the Louisville, Michigan final. He could not. He could not
you're
come
right.
to Michigan.
Right.
Like
and
Michigan
that's like
fans
the one
would,
he like cheated.
Michigan fans would hate
even though
that.
They didn't cheat.
And he even went through some stuff this year at St. John's with like disrespecting his players and everything.
Well, he didn't want him. he hated his whole team.
I've always liked Pitino. I think he's a. I mean, I like Izzo. So
and
he
who
fits
was the
into
coach
that group.
that went on the run last year? They full court press Topher.
Oh, Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah.
He went
He's not there anymore.
He went to Iona. He replaced Rick Pitino at Iona.
He low-key should be Michigan's next coach.
No, they can't. I mean, he didn't do nothing with Iona this year.
I don't care.
That's just an
like,
incredible jump to make.
Dude.
Like, there's got to be some
right.
guys
You're
higher
right.
on the
You're
totem
right.
pole.
You're right.
Nate, I talked about this with Jimmy. Nate Oates from Alabama has always been rumored to be either the Izzo processor. Nate Oates for Alabama's head coach.
Okay.
Predecessor
would be the guy who came before.
I'm trying. What
would be the actor?
recessor?
I don't know.
We're not.
I don't know.
We're not English majors here.
No.
The guy that follows up after, I think it's recessor, right? Recessor sounds right. To be the Tom Izzo replacement, but he's also been rumored to be the next Michigan head coach because I didn't know this. Jimmy actually informed me this, so shout out to Jimmy. He used to coach in Michigan, in the state of Michigan, and that's where he's from, the state of Michigan as well.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I always wondered, like, why would he leave Alabama? Like, they've been very successful there, but that has always had something to do with it.
Because Bama,
They've always recruited well. They've been really good. Like,
they would play a very non-traditional Big Ten basketball.
Another scandalous head coach to come to Michigan too, with all the stuff that went on at Alabama last year with Brandon Miller and Jaden Bradley. That's very unfortunate. I really shouldn't make a joke about that, but that
Shout
would be
out Brandon Miller, by the way.
Yeah,
man, dude, defeating all the allegations.
Traded him for
just being
Scoot.
a baller.
Traded him with Zion to basically get Scoot from Willie, and wow, that would have loved to have both of those guys on my squad right now.
Seriously.
I mean, I don't really need them necessarily. Like, I don't know who I would take out of the lineup, but either way, it was just like,
we should get through our college basketball talk because we should have an after show. This should be an after show episode. I've got some things to talk.
No, let's talk about it right now.
Sleeper basketball the other day. I text Barry Hill. Luka for Vic. And it's an obvious
you
no.
have Luka.
I have Luka.
Yes.
I was gonna offer
obvious
Luka
no
Vic.
for
Barry Hill.
you, right?
No, for Barry Hill. Barry Hill texts me and goes, "Why would I do that? I've got the GOAT." And I agree with him. I think that would be silly.
No,
yes,
what?
Dude.
I would trade Vic for Luka right now if I had Vic.
No, dude.
In our league, okay, for everyone that's listening, this is our Dynasty Basketball League,
which
on
is
Sleeper,
awesome.
And the scoring is not like your typical ESPN scoring. It's different. It's not like that crazy high. But Luka is the best guy by far, and he's in year 5 or 6. Like,
but Victor is 20 years old, dude.
Yeah, no, Vic is top 10 this year in our leagues, points per game and total points as a rookie. That's incredible for sure.
Unreal.
But Luka is like 5 points per game above the next guy. You know?
Yeah. And like, I get what you're saying, but Victor is like going to be the GOAT. It's just And
I don't think Barry Hill likes Luka that much either, and I think that probably plays into it.
But I thought going into it, Barry Hill's gonna say no to this, and like I don't think he's in the wrong. He texted me no, and I wasn't like, yeah, this is blasphemous.
Yeah,
Luka's the best in the league. Blah blah blah.
I guess I wouldn't want to trade Vic either.
It was like, dude, he's 7'4". He's gonna average 5 blocks a game at one. Like maybe in year 2. Like it's because that's the only year guys are gonna quit jumping with him at some point.
Probably, but he might also just be like so good that doesn't matter.
He could average 5 blocks and 3 steals on top of like a 25 and 10. Like a double-double
potentially
a night,
could
with like 6 assists, and that's where I'm like, this guy's gonna be the most consistent fantasy player ever.
But like Luka's not.
Yeah,
like Luka gets a 35-point triple-double every single night.
Every night. I just thought that was so interesting that like that's already where we're at in Luka, and I'm honestly sick of. I've been seeing a lot with like Anthony Edwards has been going on a tear. Like Anthony Edwards is him. He's the man, but he isn't the face of the NBA. He isn't the future face of the NBA. It's Vic, and it's really, and maybe if you want to say the American face, like the guy that we're gonna try to make the face,
right?
But in the whole world, everybody will be most mesmerized by the way Vic is, and I think Vic, honestly, we saw him do the crowd work in San Antonio.
Yeah,
when he was hopped on that mic, he was like a WWE superstar. It was like Shawn Michaels is in the middle of the ring. The heartbreak.
We gotta get him on a commercial.
Yeah, seriously.
We gotta get him a State Farm commercial.
It would be hilarious to get him in like the Jokic-esque where the bench commercial.
Yeah,
it's I don't sit the bench.
That was funny. Yeah, I agree and disagree with you. I agree that Vic is the next face of the NBA or whatever, because that's for some reason that's like a big question when LeBron
why
and
does
Steph.
it even matter?
Why does it matter? Like, is the NBA? No one's gonna watch the NBA when
Because
LeBron
we
and
don't have a
Steph leave.
face.
Is that what we're saying?
Because there's not nobody to
Maybe
nobody to
I
talk
guess
about
that's what
every
they're
day.
saying. No one likes LeBron and Steph. Like casual fan, the people that like are casual, all those guys hate LeBron and Steph, right?
Yeah. They're always looking for the new guy.
Exactly. So like the people that truly love basketball, it doesn't matter to them, if that's what you're worried about. But I agree that Vic is the next face of the NBA, but I disagree that Ant can't be the next face. Like I think Ant totally could be the next face of the NBA.
Yeah, and I guess he could be.
Like just from a personality standpoint as well, like he's super charismatic, like he's a cool guy.
So I think could be is a great way to put it, because I agree. I think too many people are putting him on a different tier of like will be.
Yeah, I guess that's
think
fair.
Ant could be. I think Tatum could be. I think Luka could be.
Right.
I think Vic could be. Like there are a few guys
Yeah,
in
if
there
we're
that
talking
I really
about
think could be.
Strictly American players, I think Ant is number one. I think he's over Tatum personally, just for not saying he's better.
Yeah,
Tatum's
yeah.
better. For this weird random face of the NBA
I like
thing.
this talk. This is fun.
I would say Ant is higher than him, but like it.
Yeah, it can go either way.
Like
So I'm
Cade-
going Tatum.
Cade's up there,
Okay.
obviously. I really do really do believe that if Ja Morant doesn't get into all that stuff that happened last year, he is probably first on this list.
Yep.
Obviously he's probably not anymore. Same with like Zion, like he had the chance to be. By the way, I love that video of Zion in the post game press conference. He was just like, "I want to win," like with
Yeah,
that
right,
with that little,
Zion.
but like the face that he made, like little
I
side,
want to
like
win. That's all.
I want to win.
That's all it's
Like
about.
it was just so. It was such a meme. I don't know. I loved that.
Dude, Zion's and that play of him going full court in 3.5 seconds, him hitting top speed and jumping from that far away,
Yeah,
it's just
scary.
hilarious.
Get
to
out
watch.
the way, dude.
For real. It's unreal.
So is there anything else that we want to discuss before we get into our lists and then our brackets? We're already a half hour into this thing,
I love it.
dude.
I love
That's
it though,
crazy.
because this is good. We haven't talked hoops in a while.
No, we haven't. Okay, let's do it. What do you want to do first? Top 5 of our favorite teams? Or wait, no, we do have to talk about one more thing. LeBron and JJ, new podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I know you haven't listened to it yet. Called Mind the Game. Also, just like LeBron tweeted like 2 years ago, like quote tweeted a video of JJ talking to somebody on his podcast. I think it was like Dame or something. Quote tweeted and was like, "Damn, JJ, this podcast like is fire. You got to get me on this." And JJ responded to it and then never had LeBron on the podcast. And I was like, dude, LeBron literally straight up said, like, get me on this podcast, and you never had him on. That always, like, I want to hear LeBron on the podcast. Now they're just starting their own. Like,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. I listened to almost all of the first episode. It is awesome.
Is it strictly
They just talked about, like,
play designs?
they just talked about basketball.
general.
It's not specifically this or specifically that. They just talked about basketball.
Because
There's no topics, clearly.
I want to see LeBron save some stuff for retirement. I don't want everything to come
Right.
out. This is one thing I really hope with this documentary, and this is something that I think could happen with social media. Is like we're not going to get as many like great documentaries in the future
Yeah,
because
'cause we
everything's
already know about
already
stuff.
so well
It's a
documented.
good point.
I really hope this stays a like basketball ideology and a like learning standpoint about the game. I love talking about the best part about JJ Redick's podcasts are when he's doing his opinion stuff. It's not when he's thinking of opinions or tossing out ideas that can be disputed. It's when he's talking the game. Like
Yeah.
when he's like him and Tyrese Halliburton are dissecting the Hawks play.
Yeah,
like that
uh-huh.
one.
Like, that's
where
a lot of
Kevin
fun,
Hurt-
yeah.
like that stuff is so much fun to watch, and that's where I hope it stays with LeBron, because all we ever hear about is you hear from Mon Shumpert. LeBron is the smartest guy to ever play in the game, and like so now to hear him and JJ be able to talk through these things, because JJ is going to be the guy. I hope JJ really, and I assume this happens, is JJ's the fan of like, well, explain that. Well, talk to me about that.
Right.
What's really going on? Can you draw that? And I've heard that like visuals are coming.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they're gonna be
they already posted like visuals on with one clip. Literally like the whole time they just talked about like stuff about basketball. Like there's no stories at
And I
least
love
being
that.
told. Like
I love that.
And I assume at some point like they will bring up stuff from the past. Obviously, like I want to hear about that stuff too. I do agree with you about like the documentary aspect of things. Like there's probably will never be another basketball documentary that lives up to The Last Dance just because like it was a time where there wasn't social media, like you said.
And MJ is so secretive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like MJ, we've never think about MJ podcast appearances.
Yeah, no.
Zero.
You'd think he would be a guy that would want to hop on.
Low key, I think there's tiers to it though. I think LeBron and MJ can't just go and be on a podcast for one episode. I think they're too valuable. I think they have to value themselves much higher than I can't.
Like,
just
I need to just make my own podcast.
Yeah, right. Like, I can just go take my own company that I have, Undisputed, and pair it with somebody
And
else.
I'm super excited for this podcast, too, because LeBron's just going to, like, lie. He's just going to cap a bunch. Okay, so
I forgot about
I'm not, like,
that,
trying
dude.
to, like, say that this is wrong, because I'm the biggest LeBron fan, so I'm not hating by any means. Like, I am a certified LeBron James, like, super fan. But he was talking about, like, he been doing they were talking about how some guys in the NBA can't flip a play to the other side. And he was like, I've been doing that since I was 8. He was like, I don't know if this was just, I don't know if I chose basketball. Like, he was just talking about how his coaches said he processed the game better than anyone else as a young kid, which obviously I believe that. Like, he's LeBron James.
8's
I'm not
just
saying
young.
8, but not even that. It was just funny because he just goes, and I just think I'm just super intelligent with sports, and I don't know if I just chose basketball or if I was chosen for basketball. And he said that like so casual. I'm like, bro, shut up, dog. Quit trying to make a quote, you know?
Dude, you are gonna get clipped, and it's gonna go the wrong direction.
But like, everything. That's the thing, though. He's LeBron at the end of the day.
For real.
He is the greatest, and he's played for 22 seasons. Like, so when he's sitting there talking about how some guys don't know what it takes to play as long as possible,
He's being serious.
He's telling the truth because he knows what it takes, and no one else has done it like that at that high of a level. So that's why I love hearing from LeBron, because he's the greatest, you know, and he's just done it for so long, and I'm super excited for this to continue.
When did you learn? How at what point do you think in your basketball career you really started to fully understand like some X's and O's and like began to like flip a play in your head and just like, because I have learned that not everybody, I thought everybody could do that. Not everybody can take the play and just run it to the other side.
Well, I think it's not even that. I think it's like some people can't. If there's a play where you're like the wing or whatever, you know, like let's hypothetically, it's the classic 1 guy up top, 2 on the block, 2 on the wings. That's your play or whatever, or it can be someone in the short corner or whatever. Like, some people can't even run both wing spots. Like, they only know that spot that they're like when we were in high school and stuff. There's people that like are wings and they start on the left side, and then they're in a game and they're on the right side and someone calls a play and they like go to switch to the other side because they don't even know like how to run the play from the other wing. And it's like, dude, it's probably pretty similar. Like, how do you not know the play?
And that's to me where like you don't.
It's high school stuff, obviously. Like, we're kids. Like, I get it, but it's a lot different than being in the NBA.
So I think I could do that, honestly, starting in the 7th grade. I think I could instantly flip a play in my head. I think
like the second that we actually got down like motion, you just kind of understand that personally.
And me, and this isn't like a me hype show, but like this is not, and I could run the 5 if you wanted to me. I could run the 1. I could run the 2. Like, I knew what
you
all
just know
fives
the play.
were.
Yeah,
it's weird to me
you
that
kind of have to though, right?
Not everybody can. Like, that's what LeBron's saying. There are guys in the NBA who probably can't do that.
Right.
Go and know what the 5 does on this play while also knowing what the 2 does.
And that's what I think a lot of young basketball players don't really get, is because they get told by the coach when they run the play, introduced to them in practice, like, you're the 4 on this play. This is what the 4 does. And that's all they put in their brain. And they don't even pay attention to what's going on with the rest of the positions. And then you get in the game and there's 2 dudes bigger than you on the court and they call the play and you go to run the 4 and you're like,
now you're playing it the wrong way.
Then you can't even run the play.
Yes,
Yes.
And we're not thinking clearly. Like, that, it becomes a situation where it's like, you do realize there's 2 bigger people than you on the floor who need to be in your spot, but since you didn't pay attention and learn a different spot, we're now screwed as a team.
Yeah.
I always felt like if you can't run all 5 spots, you don't know the play.
Right.
You actually, and I think that's fair.
I think that, I totally think that's fair.
If that's the case, I think a lot less people know the plays than we put on. Like, I bet you majority of like even high school teams, there's 2 guys in majority of high school lineups who couldn't run all 5 spots.
And that's obviously.
How many guys need to be able to do it per team, right? Because not everybody does. D'Angelo Russell.
Anyone who handles the ball needs to know. Like, anyone who calls the play and like anyone who's the point guard, quote unquote, needs to know all the positions. You know, you're supposed to be the one that orchestrates everything.
I think you should know at the drop of a hat. I think you should be able to like instantly be like, the 5 goes here.
Yeah.
I think,
because you need to be the one that tells everyone how to get in the spot, because someone on the court's not going to know what's going on.
Seriously, and you got to help them through that. And it's not an easy part. I think there are less and less thinkers because we have so many more players.
Right.
So many guys just play all the time and don't do enough digesting and thinking.
Right. Yeah. And but also like from a high school perspective, I obviously can't speak for NBA players. How many plays do you have that you actually run? You have plays like or whatever stashed in the bag, but like you're running a max of like 4 plays, like max of 4.
Yeah.
How many plays did you guys run for your high school team this year? Your girls varsity?
More than 4.
Like,
we had okay, so
district finals game. How many plays did you run?
I think we were.
I'm not counting slobs or blobs. I'm talking
we ran 8
half court sets. 8 plays.
But so many of them
are similar.
Are getting to this action. We have an action we have one called pistol. It's a pistol action.
Yeah.
All it is a handoff into a immediate ball screen. Right, and so like
that's not really a play.
It's a play, right?
Okay,
we run predominantly like I would say 4 plays.
Okay,
like our main offense, and we have like it's 2 motions, a couple quick hitters in there. But yeah, and then like on our high school teams, we had 3,
if that, and like you don't really run anything other than Euro and motion
because you hope to score a layup after your steal or rebound.
Like you have Chemic stashed in the bag that you might pull out twice. You know, like that's it.
Yeah,
and
it's got 8 variables.
This doesn't really make sense, but to me, like motion and Euro isn't a play. That's an offense. In my brain, a play is like you're designing this play to get a shot, and it doesn't flow after. Like the play ends when the last person gets the ball.
Okay.
That's kind of how I view a play.
So then we probably ran 4. We had 2 offenses, 4 plays.
Okay. That's because like even like a double ball screen, you know, like a
drag.
horns or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when 2 people come up, set you a ball screen, like that's a play because you don't really like flow into something off of it. Obviously you can go into something else, but like motion and Euro is just, if you don't get a shot, you just keep doing it over and over again, you know?
Euro's an awesome offense. It's still the most beautiful offense.
I still think motion's the best offense ever.
Yeah. But the motions that are ran properly and like the best are the ones that incorporate all those little actions that I would run to set up a play. So like if a motion offense can effectively incorporate a pistol action into their motion, that team is now going to be really hard. Or a zoom action.
Or like teams that run flex really well, you know, like with dominant bigs like that where you can't be switching off of them.
Oh my gosh.
Like
dude,
a team that runs a flex really well, you can't
properly. Tough to stop, dude. So I mean, you looked in the MHSA state finals or state quarter and McBain was there, and that's what they do, and they do it really well.
Yeah.
But like even like in our old man runs, we will incorporate like there will randomly be we'll be playing. I'm like, hey, we ran a pistol action. Dude, did we seriously just randomly do a zoom action?
You just on accident.
A down screen into a dribble handoff at the elbow? Like, we will do that with Seth.
Yeah, it's
like,
really random. It's just like, there's just random things that happen all the time.
And that's the way it should be. Like, that's beautiful offense, but it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And not a lot of high school players are there yet.
Which you don't really expect them to be.
You don't expect them.
Yeah.
It'd be incredible if you had a group of like 8 guys who could all effectively run a really good motion offense where everybody's a scoring threat. Because so often there's 3 guys who are scoring threats in a good motion high school offense.
I heard somebody say this, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been on Numbers on the Board. It might have been Pierre that was talking about this. If it's not, I can't really remember. But they were talking about college basketball, and this is so true. College basketball has so many offenses or just plays where they just do a bunch of pointless shit for like 15 seconds, and then at the end, it just turns into a ball screen.
Or a post.
That's how college... No, I think it was JJ Redick was talking about this, because it's something, you know, a lot of people don't like college basketball, because in the NBA, you come down and you get your shot up as quick as you can, basically. Essentially. You don't like try to, it's just kind of how it works. In college basketball, you're taking that whole 30, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It was JJ Redick. He was talking about this with some guest, I can't remember. And essentially, especially Michigan State does this to the extreme. They sit there and they run a down screen. They'll run a flex screen at the block or whatever. Maybe look eye down in the post. They're not trying to get it to the post. By the time that shot clock hits 8 seconds, the ball's in Tyson Walker or AJ Hogarth's hand, and he's getting a ball screen.
Yep.
Why not just do that at the beginning?
Start.
Why not just do that at the start?
That's what NBA teams do.
Exactly.
They just, hey, at the end of this,
why not just run pick and roll every single time?
We want to get into a zoom action here. And in college, they're going to make 4 different cuts to get to a zoom.
Yeah.
In the NBA, Luka's going to dribble it over. He's going to sit at the elbow, and a guy's going to down screen for another guy. And we're going to get into zoom 6 seconds into the play.
They're going to come down the court, and they're going to run pick and roll every single play.
Yeah. So I've seen the way, and this is something that I'm transitioning to, is that you should actually coach high school basketball much closer to NBA basketball than to college. In college, it is a 5 versus 5 team game consistently. Like, it is really about all 5 of you guys.
Yeah.
in high school, rarely do you
you're
have
right.
the 5.
You're right.
I'm
your
going to
top
play through my
players,
star player,
uh-huh.
and he's going to get me 30, and that's how we're going to win the game.
Yeah.
It's the same with, like, Luka. It's the same thing you do with Luka. Like, I'm going to put the ball, and I never realized that because I think when we played much more similar to a college team. It might be
Definitely, yeah.
10, 10, 10, and 10 to get us to our 60 points that we win. It's rarely going to be the 25,
That's how all
30.
of us have always played. Yeah.
And
even at open gym, like it's never, even if a guy's going off, like
you kind of
they're never going to go off that much.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, I think the high school teams, more often than not, you have to treat them like an NBA team.
That's a good point. At least just from that perspective, yes.
And I found that very interesting. I'm actually excited, with that new knowledge. Like, what happens now?
Yeah, that's a definitely a really good point. Speaking of the Luka, having your Luka, that Kyrie game winner the other night.
What?
Matt Griffin, who obviously has been on this podcast, tweeted out yesterday morning. He was at the gym. He goes, "At the gym right now, can confirm the Kyrie game winner is really hard."
It looked very difficult.
I want to try it. I think I can make it.
I think I
might
can
pull it
make
out at open gym,
but I can't make it. And I can't
in
make
the
it there.
face of a 7-footer. I mean, it's a lefty.
Well, I can make it, but
On the run lefty floater, I guess.
But
More like lefty hook shot from behind the free throw line.
Because it's not a floater. He wasn't going towards
No, it's
the
not
hoop.
a floater. It's like a fading away hook,
Yes.
just a one-handed push shot essentially. He picks up his dribble outside the 3-point line and just takes 2 steps sideways, and next thing you know, he's at the elbow kinda. What a crazy game winner that was.
Just more to add to the clearly the most skilled basketball player ever. It's more fuel to the fire.
Yeah,
He's just so skilled, dude. He's
Incredible.
so good, man. And I'm trying to even get my dad to realize Kyrie is one of the greatest we've ever seen with a basketball.
Yeah.
He's that elite. And I don't
How does Corey feel about that?
Corey doesn't believe it quite yet.
Yeah. But he's not in the lab watching Kyrie.
He's not in the lab.
Yeah.
He hasn't sat through the
hasn't
30
seen-
minutes of
He
Kyrie
hasn't seen that
finishes.
behind the back in and out he did on Steph when he was in Boston.
How'd you do that? You created that move. For him, he's unreal. That was an awesome play.
Yeah.
Kyrie's the man.
All
What do
right.
you think about Dallas, playoffs wise? Give me Dallas. Deep run.
I have a hot take about Dallas in general, not even specifically this season. And this is kind of just I just don't know how much I love their chances of winning a championship, at all, in the Luka era.
Is it the style?
Not even just the style, but one, I don't know how they're going to upgrade their roster for the next several years because they don't own any of their future picks anymore. They traded the rest of them essentially to get Grant Williams, who they traded another one with to get P.J. Washington. Then they traded one to get Daniel Gafford. The style, to an extent, I think offensively, obviously they're fine. Even if Luka's just going to do his thing.
Yep.
And when he's not, Kyrie's going to do his thing. But when Luka's not, that doesn't happen. He's always doing his thing.
Yeah.
Luka really is a terrible defender. In a sense of it's not even the effort thing. When he tries, he's such a bad help defender. And I think that in a deep playoff series, a smart team is just going to attack that. When he switched on to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope against the Nuggets in a series or against Aaron Gordon, they are going to do their best to attack that because he really just doesn't put in any effort at all on the defensive side,
especially when he's away from the ball.
And exactly, that's
it's the
his
worst when
off
he's
ball.
away
That's
from the ball.
his on ball defense. He can try a little bit.
He's pretty fine.
He's a bigger, stronger guy. Yeah, that's mainly what I was talking about. Is off the ball. They're gonna do their best to get whoever he's guarding a open look, and it's not gonna be that hard. Or they're gonna attack him on a drive or whatever. So that's the only part that is kind of off-putting for me. But with how good that he is offensively, and when Derek Lively is fully healthy back, Gafford has been really good since he's come there. Those guys can, and they just don't really have that elite guy on defense.
I was just
on
gonna
the
say
perimeter that helps make up for Luka being so bad defensively.
They have nobody who even makes superstar stellar defensive plays.
No, if they still had Finney Smith, I would feel a lot better, or if they just had a guy that could really Josh Green is not your perimeter point of attack guy that's gonna win you a series defensively.
He can't. He just doesn't. And even looking through let's go through you go through the teams. Every other team has a guy like that.
A guy or two,
Or two,
Yeah.
like the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
Anthony
exactly.
Edwards is a star player on both ends of the
Yeah,
floor.
Jalen McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I'm taking all three of those guys. It's I trust those guys to guard the other team's best guy.
I think part of the issue is Luka's refusal to jump on defense. He never. And how can you be a good help side defender if you won't jump?
Right.
How can you be a good defender in passing lane?
And
if
it's
you
like
won't jump.
that's the route that they've taken. And I'm not saying that it's some new thing that I've discovered now. Like that's obviously been a thing for a while. I just think in the current scheme of how the Western Conference is, not just for this season, for the next X seasons, I really don't see a world where they win the title. Like it could happen because a crazy Luka run happens every year in the playoffs. You know, like he's that good in the playoffs. So it's not out of the question. But I just don't. I just struggle to see a world where they get, unless they go get that guy. You know, if they go get a guy that is a all defensive type of perimeter defender, somehow they get that guy while keeping Kyrie, keeping Lively, and obviously keeping Luka, then I feel I can make up for it a little bit.
Yep.
But the lack of any effort defensively from Luka, added in with they don't really have a guy in general that can kind of offset it a little bit, it's hard for me.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And I keep running through the other teams, and it's like, man, they all have these defenders. Yeah. The Lakers, who are going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you even have a Cam Reddish. You have a Torian Prince. Like, these guys are not not phenomenal, but, like, they would help the Mavericks a lot, you know? Like, they...
Yeah, Thunder, Clippers... Timberwolves, defenders. Nuggets, defenders.
Like, if you're the Mavs, you really can offset some offense. You can replace a Tim Hardaway Jr. with a guy that can really help on. Like, for the Sacramento Kings, for an example, Keon Ellis, a guy that hasn't played much at all really the last couple of years, had a huge role this year for them because of what he brings defensively, like in the fast break and everything. Yep. And I don't know how much necessarily. I haven't seen the off and on numbers from him. I don't know how much he's helped necessarily. But it's just, that's a guy they didn't really have last year. You know, like the Kings were so good on offense, get torched on defense, but it's okay because we're so good on offense. Yep. And they've been worse this year, but I just have liked how they have embraced a guy who doesn't play that much in Keon Ellis, who now he is because he brings that effort defensively.
Also forces everybody else to defend. Makes everybody else defend. New news. Defensive end, Romeo Okwara, announces that he's stepping away from the NFL.
Really? Okay. I think he was a free agent anyways, I'm pretty sure.
I've got it clipped with a Lions tag here on ESPN, but I'm not so sure how much he was on the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, he's Julian Okwara signed with Philly, I believe, this offseason, so.
Okay, last one. I actually do have one last thing.
Okay, then we have to. We're almost an hour in right now.
Who is the next NBA star to request out of a small market, to be fed up with the small market? Because I've been thinking about that.
Is that even a thing?
Yes. AD did it, and Kawhi both did it. And I think both of it was because of small markets. As much as AD can say it was about winning, there was a good team in New Orleans for a year or two there. Right. Where they could have been better.
And they had the first overall pick coming in.
And he refused to play.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they get the first overall pick from the Lakers?
No, they just won the lottery.
Oh, see, that's
they could have had Zion and AD.
Is Anthony Edwards ever going to ask out of Minnesota?
I don't think Ant will. Ant doesn't seem like... But, we don't...
Kawhi didn't seem like it. We don't see that.
It's hard when the teams are winning right now. It's so easy to look at Minnesota and see how they're doing well and how this is going to be Ant's third playoff appearance in Minnesota. Like, Minnesota was a team, growing up for me, never made the playoffs. Like, when they made it with Jimmy, that was the first time. They had the longest active playoff drought, I'm pretty sure. Minnesota was like a bottom-tier franchise. This might be a third straight season of making the playoffs under Anthony Edwards. Like, that's a great sign. So it's easy to say, why would he want to leave? They're good. As soon as they have that year or two where they're not doing so good.
Or they just stay first-round teams. If they're a first-round exit for 4 years, he's done.
My guy who I think that is, it's not going to be Shea. OKC has too much going right. They just have too much going on for them. He's safe. Scotty Barnes is a guy that's just not really enough of a star, I don't think, yet. I'm just trying to go through all of those market or small market guys.
Like Melo?
Melo could be. That's a good one. I didn't consider Melo. He could definitely be that guy.
I mean, Charlotte's terrible. Low key.
He isn't really in a place right now to do that because he can't stay healthy. Yeah. He has yet to stay healthy in all 4 seasons now, in the NBA. So hopefully he can start to do that. But the last 2 seasons specifically, he's been incredibly injured. Ja Morant, I think, is the guy. I think that he. I don't know though. He kind of fits like the Memphis thing though. Like he does.
He's the dog.
He's the Memphis grit.
He's like for real.
You're right. He is.
That's what I'm saying.
He just feels like the guy to me. That's like he wants to go to a bigger place.
You know who we haven't mentioned, and he's not a star yet. But what if it's Cade?
It could be Cade.
Could be Cade.
It could
With
be
what's
Cade.
going on. I mean,
He might just want, and it might not have anything to do with small market. It might just be because, hey, this franchise sucks.
stinks. Yeah,
and
yeah,
have
yeah.
done a terrible job
Yeah.
with me. Like, it has nothing to do with I'll go to Charlotte, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'll go anywhere. I'll go to
You can send
Oklahoma.
me to
I'll go
Utah.
Oklahoma. Yeah, I'll go to Utah. I bet he'd love to be in Utah right now with what they got going on over there.
Seriously.
Okay, that's gonna be it for everything.
This is awesome.
52 minutes. I'm gonna put a marker in the podcast in case people only came for the college
you might
basketball
write it down.
stuff. So good
Write
call.
that down.
Okay, everybody, we are here to do our list. What do you want to do first? Top 5 MSU guys or top 5 non
Let's do
or whatever?
Yeah, top 5 favorite college players, like
Top-
of
our
favorite
colleges.
teams.
Okay, so top 5 for me, Michigan State players ever. For Easton, top 5 Michigan players ever. Did you have any honorable mentions that you
I've
wanted
got
to include?
Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers, Hunter Dickinson, Mike Smith, Eli Brooks, Tim Hardaway, and Jordan Poole.
Most all recent guys, then, yeah.
Yeah.
And
A
then
lot
Tim
of the
Hardaway.
recent guys. Yep.
If I quickly off the top of my head, if I was doing top 5 my favorite Michigan guys, because I do actually have Michigan guys I like. Franz is in there. I just had him on. Karis LeVert is in there. I loved Karis LeVert when he was at Michigan. That's really it.
If I did Michigan State guys, it would be Cassius Winston would be number 1, like easily.
Right.
I actually like Cassius Winston. I liked him at MSU. He was like one of the things I was like, yeah, I dislike MSU, but he's awesome.
Right.
And the Xavier Cassius matchups were cold.
And Michigan fans just like Cassius was Xavier's dad, dude.
Dude,
and everyone was
Xavier
like,
outplayed him every once in a
no,
while,
bro.
dude.
Like Xavier was like so clearly just like worse than Cassius.
He was, but Xavier could keep up.
And he was just in his shadow. Like Xavier could have been such a bigger star at Michigan if it wasn't for Cassius.
And that's what I think we were all saying is like Xavier never got the credit because of Cassius.
Right.
But
Yeah,
Xavier
that's
could
great.
keep up.
He could keep up.
He could keep
for
up.
sure.
And
I liked Xavier.
Yeah. And
I just didn't like the Michigan fandom saying that they were like on the same level. Like, no, they're not.
Wasn't Mike Smith also the fake name he used?
No, Mike Smith was just
Mike Smith, the
just
guard.
Mike Smith. Yeah,
What was
that
his
was
fake name?
Jeff Jackson.
Jeff Jackson.
Yeah, shout out, Jeff Jackson.
Yeah.
My honorable mentions for my list are Brandon Dawson, Adrian Payne, rest in peace, Kenny Goins, legendary shot. It's on the wall.
Yep. Shout out
One of
Kenny
my
Goins.
favorite basketball game ever of all time. Xavier Tillman, hard for him to miss the list. Bryn Forbes, and that's it.
I also liked Denzel when he was at MSU.
Yeah.
I like Denzel. I really
Travis Trice too. I'll throw Travis Trice in honorable mentions because I love Travis.
We ready?
Number 5.
My number 5 is Shawnee Brown. I
knew he was gonna be.
I got
on
one
here.
ear of Shawnee. He was the most there was a different type of emotion I felt when he came in the game. He was like my ideal type of player. Just worked so hard, and I love a big defender who's physically imposing, who can knock down the three
and could dunk on you too.
Yes, dude. Shawnee was this electric fire coming off the bench for this Michigan team that was so underrated. And I remember talking about well, how are we going to replace Shawnee Brown?
Yeah.
Like, he did that much for us.
He was such a big role player.
He would and I don't know what his average actually ended up being, but it felt like he averaged 12 points a game off the bench. He would be good for 2 or 3 threes, and he's going to be in the right spot at the right time while also playing incredible defense. Shawnee was awesome. He was so electric. I would get turned if he hit a 3. I would go crazy every single time.
My number 5 on the MSU list is actually the only non-4-year player at MSU. MSU has a lot of great 4-year guys. It's Miles Bridges. Got to get this out of the way. I do not condone anything that happened with Miles Bridges after his time at Michigan State. I'm strictly talking about the player on the court when they were at Michigan State. And Miles Bridges was one of my favorites. I mean, he was just spectacular. When he came back after his freshman year, it was awesome because we had just lost in the tournament on the second round to Kansas, and he was going to be a top 10 pick. And then the following 2018 draft, where he ended up going, was going to be an even more loaded draft. It was like, why would he ever come back? And he did. And that was so awesome when he did that. And he was just a highlight reel at MSU. Not a lot of MSU guys come in as freshmen and are just like the star players right away. He literally is one of the few that I can remember in any time of my Michigan State fandom where he came in as a freshman and was the star of the team and played like a star and did in his second year as well. It sucked. He never had any tournament success in those 2 years because the second year we lost to Syracuse in the second round. But Bridges was one of the best at MSU.
Yeah, Bridges was the man. I remember being so jealous when you guys got Bridges because it was just like, he's the man. Right? Flint native.
Yes, Flint native.
Flint native. My number 4 is Xavier Simpson. He was just the man. I mean, Captain Hook.
Captain Hook.
And like I said, I feel he was so, and we just talked about our Xavier. I just talked about him, but I felt like he was underappreciated because of cash, and he could hold his own and might have been the second best guard in the Big Ten for that two-year span where he was a starter.
Yeah,
he was that good at Michigan, and he was awesome. He was awesome.
Been a good G League player since leaving Michigan as well.
And
I don't know if he still is.
He's more famous now than he was
because
when
of
he
the
was
hook.
because of
thing.
the hook.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he been doing that.
And he's been doing
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Like, I've been seeing Xavier do that.
I know people on Instagram are like, "Whoa, what? He's so good at this hook. Like that's crazy. Like, bro, he been doing that." My number 4 is Draymond Green. I don't have Draymond Green like as high as maybe you think he would be. This is when I was a young kid. Obviously, he played at MSU from 2008 to 2012. Was a part of that as a freshman. Was a part of the team that went to the national championship. That played against Ty Lawson and UNC. One of the actual very first basketball games I have like a vivid memory of was that UNC MSU championship game in 2009. We lost. Obviously, we lost to Ty Lawson, and I'm forgetting who the other main guy on UNC was that season. I can't quite remember, but it was so tough. But Draymond was a stud. I mean, he's from Michigan. Like he embodies Michigan State. To this day, he's been that guy. But at MSU, he was so good. He was a Big Ten Player of the Year. He was Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. 4-year guy. Just one of the best, like Tom Izzo guys. Like he embodies what it is to be a Michigan State Spartan, and he was at his time there.
He is like to me, he is like the iconic. That is a Spartan. Like Draymond Green is what MSU guys should aspire to be, and that's how like they play. They're junkyard dogs. We are the most. Yeah, I love Draymond, dude. I love Draymond.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Speaking of that, I wish we grew up in the 2000s.
Yeah, because Zach Randolph, Jay Rich, all them guys play for MSU.
I'm thinking more of like even the high school games. Me and you would have been watching Saginaw. We would have went and saw Draymond play. And think about how big of fans we would have been. Like, we watched Draymond in high school.
That would have been awesome.
We would have loved Draymond.
Yeah, because dudes actually, like, played in Michigan.
They didn't leave.
They didn't leave.
They do now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame them. Like, but it's just...
I can't say anything about them. I work for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Number 3.
My number 3, let me double check. My number 3 is Nick Stauskas.
Ooh.
And he was a guy that actually going into this, he had like blipped out of my memory because he never did anything beyond the University of Michigan.
Hey, he went top 10 in the draft.
Yeah. Did he, or was he 11?
Either
to the Kings.
He might have been 11. Right in that area.
He was the man at Michigan. After Trey Burke left, and it was like, man, what do we have to root for?
He won Big Ten Player of the Year.
He was like 2 years. We had this white Canadian shooter who was elite and he was so good at shooting. Nick Stauskas was awesome. He was cool.
My number 3 is my first favorite player, probably ever, maybe in basketball history. Kalen Lucas of MSU.
Wasn't my guess.
Kalen Lucas was like the OG, like he was my first guy I was a fan of. Was played at MSU from 2007 to 2011 with Draymond Green on that national championship team. I remember my dad let me stay up late for that game, and I think I like fell asleep during the game, and I woke up and they were losing, and I like was so pissed off. I was like, how old was I? It was 2009, but it was before my birthday. So I was 7 years old. Like I remember this shit, dude. Like, and that game just had me so terrified. Like, I was so mad. And it's crazy to think that they've never made a national championship since that day, because they've made like they made like 3 or 4 Final Fours since then, but never made it to the Natty. But yeah, Kalen Lucas was like my original favorite player. I think I had a Kalen Lucas jersey when I was a really little kid. Absolutely loved him. Never had any success in the NBA. Played for the Pistons at one point, which was cool. But yeah, he's like the only guy that goes way back for me. I mean, Draymond goes way back as well, but we know Draymond from his NBA success. Kalen Lucas is like the OG Spartan fan for me.
Mm-hmm. My number 2, I actually don't even know who that is.
Really?
I have no idea.
Look up Kalen Lucas highlights when you get home. I will. Don't get him confused with Corey Lucius. Because Corey Lucius had that game winner against Maryland in the tournament. You've probably seen it. It's always comes up in like the best March Madness buzzer beaters ever. Corey Lucius had one against Maryland in the round of 32, I believe. Kalen Lucas though was a stud at MSU.
My number 2 is Trey Burke. He was the first basketball. What'd you say? Yeah. He was my first Michigan basketball memory. Was him playing in the tournament and just being a big time. The first one actually is the Michigan State. That's the first one I remember. The dunk against MSU. the steal and the dunk.
Yes.
But I remember watching, it was on Easter, and I don't remember if it was Louisville or if it was the game before the Natty, but we were watching on Easter on this like 12-inch by 12-inch box TV that was in black and white. And there was like
black and white.
And like, granted, it shouldn't have been black and white, but
right.
It was just, we were out in a garage in like this random place. There was like 40 of us huddled around this little TV trying to watch Trey Burke go nuts. But he's arguably the best player in the 2010s of the entire Big Ten. He was awesome at Michigan, part of the Fab Five, which was the Fresh Five, the freshman, the second coming of the Fab Five that Michigan had during the 2010s. So
yeah, I liked Burke a lot. I remember in that 2013 draft, Pistons had this 8th pick, I believe, and everyone was like, Trey Burke we're gonna pick Trey Burke, and I low-key kind of wanted him to.
Me too.
We took KCP, which I mean, in hindsight, was
the better pick.
KCP obviously never was like. He didn't become the player he is on the Pistons, but he was still pretty good. Yeah, I like Trey Burke a lot, and definitely probably the best Michigan player of our generation, I would say.
Definitely.
Just from how good they were. I mean, he was National Player of the Year, so
yeah,
no MSU guy has done that in our lifetime.
Guy.
So
other than him.
My number 2 is the guy who finished second in National Player of the Year in his time as MSU, Denzel Valentine. I debated putting Denzel at 1. I loved Denzel Valentine at Michigan State. He was just so good. The year that Buddy Hield won National Player of the Year over him, I despised Buddy Hield because I was so biased that Denzel Valentine should be the National Player of the Year, and I'd never seen a guy at MSU win it, and I wanted him to so bad, and he didn't. But I love Denzel. He has so many huge moments. The buzzer beater on Valentine's Day, like one of the coolest things of all time. Very, very unfortunate how his MSU career ended, losing to Middle Tennessee State in his senior year. Like, just
it's a cloud of like
the most tragic thing ever.
Yeah.
He went to a Final Four with MSU and like that the year prior, and so that senior year it was like we're gonna, we lost to Jahlil Okafor and Duke, and Jahlil Okafor was dominant with Duke in the Final Four, and he was gone. It was like, okay, now is our time to like we are gonna go on a run. Lose to Middle Tennessee State. I remember I went. It was I think a 2 o'clock game. And I watched the first half in Mr. Fletcher's room, and then the bus came, had to go home. I mean, we weren't that young. It was 2016.
Yeah, we were all in school.
But I'm trying to remember, like, I meant like what grade was I in?
Yeah, you were probably.
I was like a freshman in high school, I think.
Freshman.
And I got home, and I remember I was eating a bowl of chicken noodle soup, and Michigan State was winning or whatever. Like, I wasn't that worried about it. Go back out in the living room, and they're losing, and I eat the soup, and they lost, and I was so mad.
Did you cry?
I don't think I did, but
I would have been really close.
I think, but like it wasn't even that kind of upsetness. I was pissed. I wasn't sad about crying. Like when they lost, and this is what I'll say. I know we're going on such a crazy tangent.
I love
here.
this.
I do too.
Episode.
That was not the most frustrating MSU tournament loss of my life. It wasn't. The Syracuse loss 2 years later with Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson in the second round was the most pissed off I've ever been at a Michigan State loss in my whole life, because we had all freshmen or Big Ten freshman of the year, Jaren Jackson, top 5 pick in the draft, one of the best freshmen at MSU in years. I think it was defensive player of the year as a freshman in the Big Ten. Going against that Syracuse 2-3 fucking zone, and we put graduate student Ben Carter, who got no minutes all year, in the middle of that zone the entire game, and Jaren Jackson played like 5 minutes, and it was the one time I was so mad at Tom Izzo. Like, Tom Izzo, what are you doing right now? You don't think Jaren Jackson can sit at the free throw line or sit on the short corner? Like, oh my God, and we lost that game, and I was so upset because that team was loaded. It was Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson with Cassius as like a sophomore.
Yeah.
Like that team, and Tum Tum was on this. Like that team was loaded, and we lost to Syracuse with that weak ass 2-3, dude.
Was that MCW? Was that Michael Carter Williams?
It might.
Or was he gone?
No, he was gone.
He was gone.
This would have been like Nigel Williams-Goss, I believe.
Man, I used to think that Syracuse defense was cool. I used to think
but
that
it's
was
weak,
really cool.
Dude.
It's weak.
You
it
can't
don't work.
lose to a 2-3 zone,
especially
man.
when you have a 6'11" big who can sit in the middle and shoot the free throw line.
Like
jumper.
a 2-3 zone works in theory until a team that can shoot the ball good, you play them.
Who the hell is Ben Carter?
Exactly, bro.
And like when you're 6'11", do you know how easy it is to beat 2-3 zones? You just pass over them. Because especially against like Syracuse, their big guy is probably 6'10", 6'9",
Probably.
right?
I believe like Raheem Christmas was their center at that time.
And they've always got the big wings because they
Yeah,
recruit based
they were
on
good.
the
Like it was a good team, but it's just
I hate
losing
that.
losing in the way that we lost. It was why I was so mad. It wasn't the like
to old Jim too.
losing in that weak ass 2-3 zone and you didn't play Jaron. That is why I was so mad.
Did you guys lose to Syracuse later on? Did you guys lose to Buddy?
No, we never played Buddy.
Okay.
No.
That would have been that would have hurt.
Dude, Buddy Loki could have made the list. I just thought about him.
Buddy Boeheim could have made your list.
I liked Buddy. He was
really
cool.
that much though?
Not that much, yeah. Okay, number 1.
My number 1 is Mo Wagner. He's the man, dude. He was the cocky asshole that I actually like fell in love with because he was not only was he was the cocky guy, but he played so hard. He never was the cool guy, which I really appreciated. Mo Wagner never was cool. He was always the ass.
I think
who
he was
played
cool.
hard. You thought
I think he thought he was cool.
I think so too, but I don't think he played cool. He wasn't the
No, that's
jogger.
right. Yeah.
He played hard.
Yeah.
And physical.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And was like tough, hard nosed, tough kid.
If we were doing top
favorite.
5 most hated college basketball players ever, at the top of the list is Mo Wagner.
He's your
number
Christian
1.
Laettner.
He is my most hated player ever. He's right up there with Frank Kaminsky. He's right up there with Hunter Dickinson. He's right up there
Sam
with
Becker.
with now Zach Edey, honestly. Like he's right up there with Luka Garza is way up there too. And Luka Garza might be number 1. But yeah, I hated Mo Wagner. And it's weird because I liked Franz. Like it was a weird I think I liked
is
Franz
way
just because
different,
in
dude.
college he was just like this guy does everything. Like he's not great at anything, but he's just like pretty good at
So
most
quiet.
things.
He would only show his
Yeah.
energy randomly.
Like I just hated Mo Wagner,
Yeah.
dude. And I still really don't like him. Like he went on Duncan Robinson's podcast after Franz got drafted. Both of them did together, and it made me like him more because he is a likable personality for sure. But on the court, man, oh my God, I can't fucking stand that guy, dude. Literally, like I just can't stand him. Okay, number 1 is Cassius Winston. I have a Cassius Winston football jersey. That's all you need to know about why he's my number 1. I mean, just so good, and I think I like Cassius even more because he helped me as a basketball player when I was I legit would watch Cassius Winston play as a undersized guard who's not athletic by any means and honestly can't really even shoot that well. He got a majority of his buckets driving to the lane on floaters and layups.
Yep.
He really helped me actually craft my game as in high school and everything and even in post high school, the way that he was creative around the rim really helped me. I would watch clips of him, how he finishes at the hoop, going up into a big, putting the ball way out here, hitting with a floater, an off-balance floater. I would watch that and go out in my driveway and do those same exact things because he was so good at such a disadvantage for being 5 foot. I mean, the dude wasn't 6 foot. I think he was listed at 6 foot, 6'1". He was 5'11".
For sure.
He was tiny. He could not dunk. He was not athletic. He was he could shoot threes, but he wasn't a shooter by any means.
It was never his favorite shot.
He was a good pull-up shooter, and he would hit big shots in big moments. But he got a majority of his buckets driving the ball to the hoop in the paint.
Getting to 2 feet.
And that's, I think, why I liked him the most because it was I can really learn a lot from him, and he's on my favorite team, and he's so good.
Yeah, his style was awesome because it was just, I'm going to be smarter than you.
Yeah,
and
play at a slow pace, but not at
calculated.
Not at the way a guy like Luka plays at a slow pace.
Yeah, Cassius is totally calculated. He was always made the right reads. He was doing all that stuff. He was awesome, man.
He was awesome.
He was the shit, and I liked Cassius. I thought Cassius was. I remember even when his brother passed away, I felt for him. It was I remember watching that game to watch Cassius. I would turn on MSU games.
Detroit native,
Cash.
Detroit Jesuit. Didn't
Graduate.
leave Michigan and played there. So yeah,
he was the man.
Miss Cassius a lot,
For real.
man. And ever since Cassius have left, things ain't
What's he
been the same.
doing?
Playing overseas, I believe. He was on Wizards G League team for 2 years. Not anymore. I believe he was overseas a year ago. I don't know if he still is currently. I would assume that he is. But yeah, things also just haven't been the same since Cassius left. MSU's just been so mid ever since he left.
And it's Tom Izzo's time.
All right, we'll not talk about that.
But it is.
Okay, we're an hour 10 into this, so let's actually get through this top 5 non-college list relatively quickly because we still have to fill out a bracket. Top 5 non-Michigan or Michigan State players ever, our favorites. Quickly before we do this, me and Easton talked about this before. I'm for sure missing some of my favorite guys. It's so hard to think about these guys. These are 2010s guys. These are the guys that we watched. I'm totally forgetting guys, and I know I am. So if I think of somebody, maybe I'll bring them up. Maybe when we go through the teams in the bracket, it'll help me think of some guys. But yeah, that's basically all I got to say.
Man, and I keep looking at my number 5, and I low-key don't even like it anymore. Like, I don't even like the guy.
Well, do you have an honorable mention, I assume?
No.
You don't have any?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
It was just like you. It was hard to think of.
All right, let me say my honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are Jamal Murray.
I know who I'm putting in.
Jamal Murray was a one and done. I only have one and done on here. Loved him at Kentucky. Like, he was so fun. He wore the John Wall sleeve where you have the white on the inside and the blue on the outside. John Wall, I guess, can also be an honorable mention because I love John Wall at Kentucky as well. Doug McDermott is another honorable mention. Obviously, everyone loved Dougie McBuckets at Creighton. And my third honorable mention is I have two more. Lonzo Ball. Like, how do you not love Lonzo Ball, especially at college? But a one and done guy, like UCLA wasn't crazy successful in the tournament or anything. So, but that game against Kentucky in the tournament, De'Aaron Fox versus Lonzo, was super hype. And then I wanted to put Marcus Keene on the list. I thought about
him,
but is that too low? Is that too fanboy to put him on the list? Out of CMU,
a niche,
kind of knew him.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit too fanboy to put him on the list, so I just put him as an honorable mention.
AB number 1 receiver. All
Yeah,
time.
It's just It's
clear where we're from.
But Keene was dope. So
Keene was dope.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 5.
My number 5 is Io Dosunmu.
Ooh, okay.
I loved Io, even though he's on that stupid Illinois team that always beat Michigan and would beat us. He was the man.
He was the
in
man.
college.
That's a good
I liked
one.
Io a lot.
That's a good one. We talked about this a little bit before. My number 5 is my only Big Ten guy I have on the list because most of the Big Ten stars, growing up, I really didn't like any of them, dude. I didn't really like Yogi Ferrell in college. I didn't like Kaminsky. I didn't like Decker. I didn't like anybody.
You like Melo Trimble?
Not really. I mean, he was cool, for sure.
Cool.
Evan Turner. I hated Evan Turner. I hated Jared Sullinger when he was at
VO?
Ohio State. VO was cool.
He was one and done.
But the Zellers did not mess with them.
Yeah.
So
hard guys to mess with.
But this guy makes my number 5 because you really couldn't dislike this guy. Carson Edwards, my number 5 out of Purdue, was such a stud there. He was so fun. Only played there for 2 or 3 seasons, but that tournament run that they went on in 2019, my senior year of high school, was so much fun. And that Purdue-Virginia game, I think it was the Elite Eight, one of the funnest college basketball games of recent memory. So
that's
Carson Edwards is my only. Really? Okay.
He's my number 4.
Nice.
Carson Edwards is the man. And that tournament run was it was one of those where everybody started talking about the draft, and that's how good he played in the tournament.
Yeah.
It was is he the next Steph Curry? Every short guy who goes off in the tournament who can shoot. No, they're probably not.
No, Steph Curry is the only guy that did that.
Yes.
And it worked out.
But he was that Purdue run. And what was the big guy's name? Their big white
Matt Harms.
Yeah.
Who always did the hair. Always did the hair
I could
flip.
not stand him.
Yeah, I could not stand him either,
I dislike him way more.
He went to BYU
than
after
Edey.
Purdue, yeah.
I would take Edey.
I hate Edey.
I could watch Edey all day.
Dude, Edey does not play basketball the way it needs to be played. He gets in the paint.
Oh, Edey's ruined the
He gets
game.
in the paint, arm locks his defender, and then a foul gets called on them. And he goes to the line and knocks down both free throws. And it happens every single possession.
I can't stand. Trust me, I don't like the way Edey plays. And there's a jealousy to it. There's
if we had him, I'd love it.
I wish he was
on
on
MSU.
6'10".
Dude, the part that pissed me off the most is he did this Big Ten question thing, what Big Ten school is the coolest? What is the coolest stadium? Who's the coolest coach or whatever?
Purdue.
Picked Michigan State for everything, dude.
What?
He couldn't pick Purdue,
God,
he had to pick another school. But there was 6 questions and he picked MSU for 4 of them. And I'm like, bruh.
Don't you guys hate each other?
I hate you.
Dude,
and
you probably did that intentionally.
But come to MSU next year, Loki. Okay, my number 4. I guarantee you we are not going to have another similar person on here. These are some niche guys.
I don't think you will.
My number 4 is Cleanthony Early from Wichita State. When Wichita State went on that run, it was Fred VanVleet, it was Ron Baker, and it was Cleanthony Early. I loved Cleanthony Early. I don't know if it was because his name was so cool, but man, he was such a high flyer, and he played clamps on defense. And that Wichita State team, everybody loved that. They went undefeated in the regular season. That was so cool. So Wichita State, just them in general, that's such a part of my growing up basketball fandom. Just them that year that they had. And Clay Anthony Early is my number 4.
Ron Baker will stay like permanently burned into my brain because of the hair.
And he went to the Knicks.
He was so funny too. He was so funny looking. Good. My number 3 is Shabazz Napier.
Yeah, I figured he'd be on
He was cold, dude.
Awesome.
I thought when the Miami Heat drafted him, it was like, oh, there's 4 more years of titles.
Dude,
like,
I just thought of a guy because you said that.
Kemba?
There's 2 guys I forgot to
Kemba
put on
one
here.
of them?
No.
Oh, but
it has to do with Shabazz Napier, though.
But Shabazz was so cold in college. I love Shabazz Napier.
Okay, I'm replacing number 4, Clay Anthony Early, because I got to keep Carson Edwards on here. I'm replacing him with Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes at UNC, I loved Harrison Barnes, dude. Like, I loved him. But a guy who I thought of because of Shabazz Napier, they were traded for each other on draft night, PJ Hairston, also from UNC.
Yep.
I loved PJ Hairston. For some reason, I think I've told this story on the
Kentucky.
podcast. No, he's from UNC. I think I've said this on the podcast, but for some reason, when that draft class came out in 2K or whatever, I would take PJ Hairston, start a franchise, put him on whatever team I was on, just trade for him, boost his potential to 99, and just go with it because I loved PJ Hairston. I don't know why.
There are so many guys I did that with.
Yeah.
Dante Exum
I wouldn't even really
being
boost just his
#1.
potential. I would boost all his, like, he'd be like an 89 coming
As a
out
rookie.
as a rookie, be a 99
I
by
was
year
the same
3.
with Dante Exum.
Yeah,
Same thing
exactly.
with Dante Exum.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so yeah, I'm replacing Clay Anthony Early with Harrison Barnes though because I loved Harrison Barnes at UNC. You said your number 3 already.
Yeah, Shabazz.
My number 3 is little backstory behind this one. I was ball boy for Coach House as a young kid, and he's the biggest Kentucky fan ever. So I naturally, as a young kid, obviously I was an MSU fan. Low key was kind of a Kentucky fan, like not a fan, but like I had like a shirt or two of Kentucky. Always, that was like
One
the
of
other
the basketball adults in your life, like Kentucky.
That was like the other team that I rooted for was Kentucky. So I really liked this era of Kentucky guys, and they're my number 2 and 3. Number 3 is Willie Cauley-Stein. Willie Cauley-Stein at Kentucky was like Karl Anthony Towns was like the guy that I remember that Willie Cauley-Stein's last year at Kentucky was like Cat is like obviously like the number 1 pick or whatever, and I was like, bruh, I didn't know much about basketball. Like Cat's a freshman, Willie Cauley's a junior. Willie Cauley-Stein is way fucking better than Cat. You know, like Willie Cauley-Stein was just the longest dude ever, tatted all the way up and down, headband, dunked on, like so athletic for a 7-foot big. Like I loved him so much at Kentucky because he was just like a highlight reel as a 7-foot center. Like and he was awesome, block every shot. So Willie Cauley-Stein, 3-year player at Kentucky, didn't see that very often at that time. He's my number 3.
Yeah, I thought about Fox. I really wanted to put De'Aaron Fox. That's the same team, right?
Yeah. No. Fox was after. Fox was after Willie Cauley. Fox was 16, 17.
Cat is always way older than I think. Too.
Yeah, Cat was 14, 15.
Cat
his
seems
last
like
year
he
at
was
Kentucky.
way
15
more
drafts.
recent than
he
that.
does.
It's weird to think he's been in the NBA that long. My number 2 is Buddy Hield. He was so electric at Oklahoma, dude.
Oh, he was, but I hated him.
That was like one of the best college basketball years I've ever seen. He was jumping up on the scorer's table. This is my house, Dwayne Wade type stuff.
He was dropping like 30 a game in college.
At a good school.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing it at CMU. No complaints to Marcus King.
Say that's a little
Shout
bit
out
of
Marcus King.
bro.
And I go to CMU now. Like I will be attending there.
Yeah.
But like this dude was doing it in the Big 12 and was balling. He was so awesome at Oklahoma. And that Oklahoma run of players that they got to experience.
Yeah, like Trey was really nuts at Oklahoma too.
Blake Griffin
before, obviously.
Like that is just a crazy 3 guys to go through. Yeah,
all top picks in the draft as well. My number 2, this is the most niche guy I think on the, and maybe number 1 is, like I said, that them early Kentucky teams. Like they were like some of my first teams I really enjoyed that weren't at Michigan State. This guy's a one and done, so it's really random. You might not even know who this guy is. But my number 2 is Archie Goodwin.
I know who that is. He played for the Suns.
He played for the Suns. He was drafted by the Suns in like the 29th or 28th pick, late first round pick. He was part of that one of the Kentucky drafts that had like 6 guys go in the first round or whatever. Archie Goodwin was the point guard of that Kentucky team in 12-13. And this was Willie Cauley's freshman year. This was like, I can't remember who else would have been there. Dude, Archie Goodwin was like, he was my idol. Like when I would watch him play, I was like, this guy is incredible as a point guard. Like he is so much fun. He didn't even have that crazy good of stats. There was something about it, dude. Like I think I asked for an Archie Goodwin jersey when I like for Christmas. I didn't get it.
That would be such a legendary
Archie Goodwin jersey.
Throwback jersey.
It would be. But no one would know who that is.
Yeah, for real.
Exactly.
For real. The only reason I know who he is because in one of those 2Ks,
Yeah.
he was like a bronze card that you would always pull.
He
from
was,
packs.
yeah. He was for sure a guy that I would like boost in 99.
Archie Goodwin.
I would like make a my player, put him on the Suns, and then like run the backup unit with like I'd get like a center, and like me and Archie Goodwin are running the backup unit. Like
That is a
I
funny
loved
guy.
Archie Goodwin.
My number one guy might just be, I don't know. My number one is Lonzo Ball.
Okay.
He was like, I would have fought tooth and nail thinking he was the greatest basketball player that like next up.
Yeah.
It's pretty, I've never liked the guy to the level I've liked LeBron James other than Lonzo Ball.
Really?
That freshman year, Lonzo Ball at UCLA, I would have told you this is, like the Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical and 6'6".
Mike Korzemba.
I believed that he was Magic Johnson with a jump shot. Like, it was like, hey, yeah, this Lonzo
Ben
Ball
Simmons.
guy is going to change the way we play.
Yeah.
He is that electric, and he was that much fun at UCLA. Ran the greatest college offense we've ever seen at that time, with a kind of hilarious group of guys.
Yeah.
Like TJ Leaf.
I would say TJ Leaf.
Who played the two?
I know.
They had a good two.
They did.
Oh, he could score.
I can't remember.
I don't remember who it was either, but Lonzo, and because there was the Lonzo versus Fox debate that year. And Lonzo won. He was number 2 overall pick, and
But Fox beat him in March Madness.
he did,
though.
and that was the discussion. It was like, now who's better?
Yeah.
It was Lonzo still. Oh man, I miss the Lonzo Ball, and he was the only guy still where I was like, huge fan of him in high school.
Yeah.
Huge fan of him in college. Only wanted him, and then he plays with LeBron. Like, what a perfect world for me to become a super fan of a guy.
And then it didn't work out.
Didn't work out, and it still stinks.
He's still good though. Like he definitely like found his role in the NBA in that last year in New Orleans and when he was first year in Chicago.
It's nice that there will be people like us around to say, no, Lonzo wasn't a bust. Like, Lonzo
he's definitely
could have been
not a bust.
He
Yeah.
was great.
And maybe he still comes back from this
Sean
injury
Livingston.
and is still pretty solid. Like maybe he's just a good player from now on. I really hope so because
I hope so.
It's hard to dislike Lonzo Ball. I really don't know many people that dislike Lonzo.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a group of people that do.
And it's funny because there was when he was cool, when he was hot.
Yeah, when he was
but it was
cool,
because of
yeah.
LeVar.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you never
no one
disliked
disliked
Lonzo.
Lonzo personally.
You hated the Ball
and people
family
disliked
and LeVar.
LaMelo. People disliked Jello, but Lonzo was different.
He was so normal.
He was just good too. Like he was that good. It's like, how do you dislike this guy?
And he didn't play basketball weird. He was like, yeah, it makes sense. He was 6'6", super athletic.
Yeah.
Of course he's good. LaMelo, it's like, this kid is 6 foot tall.
And he scored 92 points.
Goofy
as a
jump shot,
like,
plays
yeah.
no defense.
Yeah.
Like, he's dislikable. Lonzo was none of those things.
He was
the
just
man.
damn good. My number one is Shane Larkin of the University of Miami, the son of legendary Reds and I think Pirates shortstop Barry Larkin. Shane Larkin he went on this run, and I can't remember which tournament, but he was at Miami from 2011-12 season to 12-13 season, just 2 years. But one of those years in the tournament, he went on a crazy run, and this is heavily influenced by I met Barry Larkin and got his autograph with my baseball mitt when Shane Larkin was at Miami. And I was like a fan of Miami. And I told Barry, like when I met him or whatever, I was like, I'm a huge fan of like your son Shane. Like he's so cool or whatever. And that definitely plays into it. That like I met Barry Larkin as well.
One of the coolest moments ever.
Because I was with my dad and my uncle, and I was so scared to go up to Barry Larkin, and they were like, if you don't go up to him, like you're gonna regret this for the whole rest of your life. Like they were like going at me.
But at least they were honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You would have.
I totally would have. And I still have that mitt that he autographed to this day, and he was super nice. He was like one of the nicest celebrities I've ever met. But yeah, I thought
you got in an elevator with him.
I did. I got in an elevator with him and the whole Baseball Tonight crew. We walked back from baseball. Sunday Night Baseball was Red Sox Tigers. First Tigers game I ever went to that they lost. They'd always won when I went, which was so weird. But they lost. David Ortiz had like a top of the 9th inning home run or whatever, and they lost. But we were gonna take the train back, and we were like, nah, let's walk back. And we were staying in the Renaissance in Detroit there, and that's where the Baseball Tonight people were. And we got in the elevator, and right behind us was Barry Larkin and freaking John Kruk and Buster Olney and Carl Ravitch, like all the Baseball Tonight guys. And these are like guys I watch on TV every single Sunday night, you know? And I was like, oh my God. And I remember John Kruk. I don't have a great memory of John Kruk. He was kind of a dick.
Dude, you know what's crazy? You put me in that elevator, and I have no idea who I'm standing.
Yeah,
next to.
but you're with a bunch of guys that are like in suits and ties and like.
And obviously, I just came from the baseball game.
They're
It's
clearly
similar to the dude who I fist bumped. What's his face?
Oh,
at the Tigers
Simo.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like obviously I knew he was special, but I didn't know like who he was.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have been like, what's up,
and
guys?
like I recognize them, but my uncle was like a humongous MLB baseball fan, so he was even like kind of freaking out, you know.
Like
so
fanboying
like we chased Barry Larkin into the bathroom. Well, we had to go to the bathroom anyways,
but you're
like he went there and we just followed him, and we were like, and he said something to him first in the bathroom. He was like, "Hey Barry, like huge fan or whatever," and then we went back out to the lobby, and that's when I got his signature. But Shane Larkin he's my favorite player.
I hope one day I'm that memorable that like when I'm pissing, somebody walks up to me, he's like, "Dude, love what you do. You were awesome."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. Let me finish peeing. I'll shake your hand after I wash my hands. All right, that wraps up our list. We are about an hour and a half into this. It's time to fill out a bracket for the high tempo bracket group. This one's going to be a me. We've already talked about this. This ain't going to be some bracket that's like big like debate about like who's better in the Ken Pom efficiency rating. No, this is who we picking off vibes essentially.
Yep.
And it's going in the high tempo bracket group. Quickly before, let's see if anyone else has joined this high tempo bracket group. As you can see the amount of brackets I have, 22 people still. So we got to get more people.
We got to get working. I got to put it. We got to put it out there.
We got to put it out there. All right, first game in the top left, UConn Stetson. We got to take UConn.
Yeah, we can honestly just pencil in.
We
all
might
the
pick
seeds.
1-15 seed though.
But we can
like,
put it
think
pencil
about
in
it.
all
Last
the
3
ones.
years, a 15/16 is one.
I'm not doing a 16 again though. We can.
No,
I mean,
we don't. I
Houston-
agree.
Yeah, we can do a 15.
We'll pencil in all the ones and then we'll debate about a 15. But yeah, I agree that all the 1 seeds should just be penciled in because
I'm not worried. If Purdue loses round 1,
oh my god,
I would
it'd
love
be
it.
awesome.
Bill
It would be
Painter would be
so.
gone.
It would be so awesome. Okay, FAU Northwestern 8-9. FAU went to the Final Four last year, but Northwestern has made the tournament for the first time in several years. Boo booey.
I played against Big Matt. Give me Northwestern.
Okay.
Shout
I'm
out
valid
Big
for
Matt
that.
Nicholson,
I'm valid
man.
for
He's
that.
the GOAT, man.
5-12, San Diego State versus UAB. I just realized UConn, FAU, San Diego State all were in the Final Four last year, and they're in these first 3 games. Is there another team? No, that's pretty crazy. San Diego State, are we taking UAB to upset?
I'm comfortable with either, but probably more comfortable with San Diego State.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Let's rock with. I picked the upset UAB a good amount, so I'll rock with San Diego
And I
State.
actually
here.
like Auburn.
Auburn versus Yale. Yeah, I agree.
I like
The
Auburn.
Bulldogs are not.
No.
They're not going. I mean, you're from the Ivy League. Like
Princeton should have been in.
Princeton did it last year. It ain't happening again.
I like that Princeton guard. I don't know what his name is. But
Yeah,
he's tough.
that Asian dude. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
BYU or Duquesne.
Dude, I like Duquesne.
And I think it's more that I don't like BYU.
For
like
real.
you're telling me the Cougars, or are they the Lions?
I don't know. They're the Storm and Mormons. to
They're
me.
not gonna go on a run, dude.
Isn't that their other nickname? Like they're like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the Storm
That's
and
like the,
Mormons?
yeah. We're picking Duquesne.
Yeah, for real.
I don't know much about them at all.
I think it would be better if their name was pronounced Duquesne.
and some people have been saying that, and I've been a knower of Duquesne. Where is Duquesne though? That's what I want to find out. It is in
Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
No,
nah,
I'll take BYU.
Nah, BYU all day now, bro. We are not taking Duquesne. Shout out to Willie. Okay, Illinois versus Morehead State. Illinois has notoriously been god awful in the tournament under Brad Underwood. Like terrible levels of haven't made it to the second weekend since I think 2004 or something.
It's whether or not
Since
he can
Darren Williams was there.
D-Will.
Legit, dude.
Talk about guy who crafted my game, Darren Williams.
But is Morehead State taking him out?
No, but I'd be comfortable taking BYU to beat him.
Okay. That's the problem I found with this little spot. I don't have confidence in Illinois. I don't have confidence in BYU. So who do I take this? Am I legit taking Duquesne to the Sweet 16?
Not when they're from Pittsburgh.
That's where I run into struggles. Okay, next we have 7-10, Washington State versus Drake.
You know,
I mean, like,
hotline bling.
It's got to be Drake, bro. It's got to be Drake.
It's gotta be Drake.
And then Iowa State, San Diego State.
Iowa
I'm not
State.
picking San Diego State as the 15.
We
Okay.
both like
do we want to do
Cyclones.
this whole quad first, or do we want to move on and do all the
I think
first
we
round?
move on.
Yeah,
Keep doing the first round.
Okay,
I'm
moving down to the
loving
West, UNC, we have them beating Howard/Wagner.
Taking
Mississippi
MSU.
State. Do we take Mississippi State in this one though?
this. No, I'm taking them.
Like as it.
No.
Okay. That's it.
No.
Okay, let's do it. St. Mary's, Grand Canyon. Let's pick St. Mary's. Because
actually
this
like
has
St.
been the
Mary's.
most common 12-5 upset I think I've picked. I picked Grand Canyon like a majority of the time, and I need to stop doing it.
I thought they were on a strictly online university.
And I used to think that too.
thought they
I
didn't
think they
have a
are. I
campus.
think they are, but they're damn. Dude, they've lost like 3 games this year, dude. I actually watched a Grand Canyon game this year. They're good, dude.
that was an online.
So
campus.
I think it is. Like I'm pretty sure it's an all online
It's
school.
a ghost campus.
That's like the one that's always like, it doesn't matter if you're 55. Like,
Yeah.
come finish your degree at
GCU.
GCU.
yeah.
Okay, Bama versus Charleston. All I know about Charleston is they score hella points. All I know about Alabama is they score hella points.
And if you're playing the good school who plays fast, we're taking Bama.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
I mean, Bama is that school.
Clemson versus New Mexico.
I know nothing about these teams.
New Mexico has Jalen House, the son of Eddie House.
Jalen House is on that team.
Yeah.
Like
and
the former. What was that team that he was a part of in Arizona?
yeah, I believe that's. I
That's
believe.
the
I
same
believe
guy. Oh,
it's
yeah.
them.
It's Jalen House. Let's
New
take
Mexico's on a run, and Clemson has this white dude that's pretty good. But yeah, we're taking New Mexico. Baylor, Colgate. Colgate makes a tournament like every year, dude.
Yeah, and I don't even know where's Colgate. Let's figure out.
Let's figure out where
this might help
Colgate is.
us in our decision.
And it's. I mean, they.
And I know where
Have
Baylor
they ever
is.
won
Yeah,
in the tournament? Had they ever upset anybody?
Because wasn't last year supposed to be
Hamilton,
the
New York.
toothpaste game? Like, wasn't there a Colgate versus somebody else who had a tooth
maybe.
name? Like somebody else had something to do
I
with,
can't remember.
with teeth health.
We're
dental
picking
health.
Baylor.
Yeah.
Dayton, Nevada,
Nevada.
7-10. Okay, Nevada, just like that.
So
Shout out the
obvious.
Martin twins. Arizona, Long Beach State. Is this the 15 seed?
I mean, Arizona versus Cali, they probably know each other. Is Long Beach State and Cali?
I would assume it is.
I would think.
Long
I mean,
Beach, California.
They
So.
probably played against each other in AU. They probably really have a
Caleb
good
Love
scouting
at
report.
Arizona.
Ooh. Let's take
Bad
let's
blood.
take
we take
Arizona.
Yeah, we take Zona. We
and
take Zona.
yeah, I've already got ideas about
Okay.
where that's going.
We have Houston over Longwood up here. Nebraska versus A&M. I don't know how much Nebraska you've watched this year.
I know they've got
but
that guy.
Tominaga.
Yeah.
I tweeted this like a week ago. I said he will be the star of March Madness. With their draw,
It's hard.
probably not.
It's hard to be.
Because they'll just probably lose in round 2, but we'll pick them to win this round
Yeah.
1 game. Wisconsin JMU, the pardon my take battle. I think Wisconsin wins, right? This is what I can't remember who pointed this out to me. I think Eli at work did. Wisconsin's going to beat JMU, right? Because JMU's not supposed to beat Wisconsin. So
JMU was like 2 losses, right?
like 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's what I'm thinking, right? Big Cat would be way more mad if Wisconsin lost to JMU than PFT would be if James Madison loses, right? Just from a, like, they shouldn't lose.
Yep.
So what's going to happen is Wisconsin's going to beat James Madison, right? And PFT's going to be all pissed off. But Big Cat's not going to be that happy because obviously they're supposed to win anyways.
It's a lose-lose.
They're going to
for
play
him.
Duke in round 2
Oh.
and lose to Duke, who Big Cat despises Duke. So I think it's just going to be a double L for both of those
For
guys.
real.
So we got to go Wisconsin,
And then we
go
Duke, and then
and then Duke's already going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. And then they're losing.
We're just already
They are losing.
Okay,
in
well
the
we'll,
Sweet 16.
we'll wait till we get
Because
there.
I also hate Duke.
Okay, Texas Tech,
Kyle
NC
Filipowski, that fake injury bullshit.
he
that
died on the
pulled.
court, dude.
Dude, that was horse shit, dude. I hate that.
Yeah, that was
let's
bad.
change the way basketball is played forever. No more court storming because of a loser. Dude, so sorry. I don't actually believe he's a loser.
Okay, Texas Tech, NC State. NC State was not supposed to make the tournament, and they went on this crazy run and won the ACC tourney. Does it continue, or does it end here?
Do they repeat history? I mean, they've got the greatest Cinderella run ever, and I don't think it happens again. It's
They
just
lose
too
round-
unlikely.
lose round
It's just
one.
Too unlikely
Texas
that you
Tech.
do it twice in the history of your school.
So Kentucky been taking them on a run, but Greg Campy's Golden Grizzlies,
shoot, and this is
led
their
by
first time
Oakland
making
University,
the tournament.
first time making the tournament in like a long ass time. And Greg Campy is a legend. Obviously, he's like I think he has the third most
They have some guys I
longest
know,
years
too.
in Rocket Watts is on
yeah.
is on Oakland. We went to the Oakland game, or I went to the Oakland game this year. We went to it last year, right? Did you come to that?
I didn't go to an Oakland.
Okay, I went to it.
game.
I went to it the MSU Oakland game this year. Oakland Golden Grizzlies. They played CMU today in baseball and they beat them. Is that a sign? I was doing PA for the game. Like,
It could be a sign.
is that a
but-
sign?
Oh my god!
Is this
dude.
the huge upset?
If
I
you
haven't
read
picked it much,
Shepherd
dog.
And we can do that. We can do that because I've got Kentucky going far in mine. I don't.
I
Believe
got
I'm
them going
right.
far in most.
Let's go Oakland.
Oh, let's go Oakland. The Golden
I'm
Grizzlies.
trying to see. Let me preview. Oh, they have Trey Townsend.
Yeah.
I
He's
played
their,
against him in
Yeah,
high
he's
school.
their best player. Yeah, he was Horizon League Player of the Year.
He went to the school that was tragically shot up in
Oxford?
Michigan. Oxford, yeah.
Really?
Oxford,
I
yes.
did not know that.
Yeah, he was an Oxford graduate.
Yeah, he had a huge game in the
Him and
Horizon
Big
League
Matt
final.
played on the same AU team for a
Okay.
while. Big Matt Nicholson of Northwestern.
Okay.
For the Oakland Wolfpack, the North Oakland Wolfpack.
Yeah.
They were cold.
Townsend's he's
Like,
a dog.
they
dude.
were
He's a
nasty.
dog. All right, Florida versus Boise / Colorado.
Florida.
Yeah,
I don't like it taking any slash.
It's
team.
confusing.
If there's two teams, I'll just take the one.
Now here's one that's interesting. Marquette, led by Shaka Smart.
And I hate
Never
Shaka
have
Smart,
success.
dude. I hate Shaka Smart.
Is this the 15 seed?
I hate. Yeah.
Is this the 15 seed?
Yeah.
Western Kentucky over Marquette.
Bailey Zappi, alma mater.
Yeah, bro.
Like, it's
They are
so
winning that
obvious.
shit for sure. All right, and finally down to the Midwest, we already have Purdue. Utah State versus TCU. Here's what I'll tell you. Utah State's winning. That's what I'll tell you.
It's nice to know.
Moving on.
It's actually nice to know that I don't have to think about that one.
Gonzaga versus... you want to know why I have Utah State winning? I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that video I sent in the group chat yesterday. My mom... I'm filling out this bracket yesterday, and we always fill it. We have this like family thing that we're in with some other people.
She loved TCU.
And she was like, "Oh, I have notes this year for my bracket."
Wait,
And at the top of her notes it just says notes. And then it's like 6 things. And the first thing, it just says Utah State. That's all it says. And then the second thing says 12 seeds.
So I thought...
Like, what is, like, for someone that doesn't know what's going on, how does that help you? Are you picking Utah State to win the whole thing? Like, is that what you're doing?
Utah State's her team.
She said she was listening to NPR and some guy was talking about March Madness and she was just taking notes while she was listening.
What's so funny about that is I thought that was Kennedy.
No, that was my mom.
I had no idea that was your mom.
And she had, for this
Utah
game,
State.
McBeast State, not McNeese State. She had McBeast written down.
There's no way McBeast wins.
McNeese is led by Will Wade, former coach of LSU.
Have we
and they've
picked a
been incredible
12-5
this
though?
year. Have we picked a 12-5? We picked San Diego State over UAB. We picked St. Mary's over Grand Canyon, and we picked Wisconsin over JMU. That means we're taking McBeast over Gonzaga. The Zags run is gone.
and they're the weird team name that makes her
And they're going to go like to the Sweet
yeah,
16.
because Fairleigh
Yeah.
Dickinson, like, what kind of name is that?
Kansas versus Samford. I mean, Samford is not doing shit, dude.
What
What
is
kind of
their
name
name?
is Samford? You know what I'm saying? Like, Samford Meridian. They are not doing anything.
I read
dog.
that as Sanford.
If Samford wins, I will be so mad. And I don't
Dude,
even like Kansas.
I will hate Hunter Dickinson on a whole. Like, that was a guy
You lose
that I
to
left
Samford?
off. Dude, Samford.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Brad? Is that the quarterback?
Yeah.
Brad Samford?
No, it's Sam Bradford. Brad Samford. Oh, my God. Okay.
Classic.
South Carolina, Oregon. I feel like Oregon goes on a run like every year, right?
Yeah, so it's South Carolina.
Yeah, so it's South Carolina. Creighton, Akron.
Creighton.
Shout out to the Zips, dude.
Yeah.
This could have been CMU here.
Second best team
it
in the MAC.
sucked. Did you see the way that Akron-Kent State game ended in the MAC championship? Kent State was up. They scored. Some guy went up for layup, missed, put back layup in like 3 seconds to go up 1. Kent State was the 8 seed in the MAC tournament, by the way. There's only 8 teams that get in. So, like, it was crazy that they were even in the chance to go to the freaking bracket. They went last year, I think. Dude fouls when Akron inbounds the ball. Like, intentionally fouls. He either thought they had one to give, or I don't even think if you think you have one to give, it makes sense there. Because
Not right away.
they're going to chuck up a deep 3 half-court shot, you know? So, I think he thought they were down 1 instead of up 1. And I felt so bad for him, dude, because he was like, I'd never seen a guy more, like, upset with himself on the bench. Like, he and his teammates were really trying to help him, and he was freaking out.
Oh,
They
you would have
lost.
been.
Dude went down, made both free throws, and Akron got in over him.
You would have lost your mind on the sidelines, dude, as a teammate of that. And,
Yeah.
like, could you imagine being a teammate of that guy? Being like, man, dude, like, there's nothing we
Like,
can
you
do.
have to be pissed, but, like, you also have to be, like,
You know
you
he
need
wasn't- he
to
didn't mean
comfort.
to.
Yeah, obviously, he didn't
Like,
mean to do it.
was not his-
He did mean to do it, but, like,
He was just playing.
he just didn't know. But like,
Oh, that
yeah, it
blows.
sucks. We're taking Creighton though. Akron
Yeah,
doesn't
because
even,
Akron
they don't
got
even
in on
deserve.
bullshit.
They don't even deserve to be in.
They don't even
Yeah.
deserve to be there.
Texas versus UVA over or / Colorado
Like
State.
I said, don't believe in
Yeah,
a team that
I'm
has
cool
a
with that.
slash in their name.
Except I low-key like Colorado State, but they could just also lose tonight. Is that game tonight? These games should be up
and
to
St.
later.
Peter's, isn't that the team that had the white kid who was cold?
St. Peter's is the team that had Doug Edert, and they went
Doug
to the
Edert
they went
with
to
the
the Elite
mustache.
8. They're not going on a run
No,
again though.
that's
That's not how that
Tennessee.
shit works.
And it's Tennessee. So.
Yeah, it's Tennessee. All right, back up to the top left. UConn Northwestern. We take UConn,
We
right?
take UConn.
I think UConn. We got to pick UConn to get upset,
At
but
some point. for the
but
points.
not here. But not here.
It's for
Yeah.
the potential.
San
points.
Diego State, Auburn. Auburn's on a run. Bruce
me
Pearl. They won the SEC. I'm going with, I like
Shout out
Auburn.
Wendell Green.
Yeah, not there anymore.
But shout him out.
Shout out, yeah.
He was awesome.
BYU, Illinois. We said we were taking BYU, right?
baby.
Oh, I don't like that.
But they can
But
lose.
like I don't like
they can
Illinois.
lose to Drake.
But like they're just gonna lose to Duquesne in round 1. Nah,
Dude,
who
I
knows?
low key think we could take Duquesne to go to the Sweet 16 over BYU.
Do we?
Let's take Duquesne.
Okay, we're switching it up. Duquesne
Duquesne.
over BYU, and then Duquesne over Illinois, Sweet 16. Drake, Iowa State. Oh, dude. You used to call me on
And I need a one
I
there.
was just going to do that one.
Iowa State.
Just hold on. Okay, Iowa State.
That's a great one.
UNC, Michigan State. I think we pick UNC here. I picked this game, MSU over UNC, too much. I'm going to stop doing it for the rest of my brackets. I think it starts here. I think we take UNC over MSU.
Oh, yeah. MSU's
Okay.
bad.
Okay. Good. Yeah. This MSU team, I do think they can go on a run because I'm picking it.
It would be the most
This
shocking
isn't the team
of
last
team.
year though. Like this team is just built to lose in round 2. If we're being generally,
There are years
genuinely
where I'm
honest.
like, yeah, Tom Izzo's Mr. March. They're going to make a run.
Yeah,
Tom Izzo.
this year isn't the year.
This year.
It'll happen now that you said that.
Seriously.
St. Mary's, Alabama. Oh man, I don't know.
I love St. Mary's because I love that conference.
Let's pick St. Mary's, the West Coast Conference. Shout out to them. New Mexico versus Baylor. Ooh.
This
is one
Jalen
where I've-
House, though.
This is one where I've honestly gone a little bit back and forth on.
Yep.
With New Mexico sneaking into the Sweet 16 a little bit.
And this is the first time we've looked at stats.
First
and,
time we've looked at stats. Both these teams score the ball at a pretty high clip.
Man, it screams, University of New Mexico.
It screams New Mexico, so that's who we're rocking with. All right, Nevada, Arizona. We got a Southwest battle here in the United States of America.
Hand up, right hand up. Listen, brother. I don't dislike taking Nevada.
I think I just don't like taking Zona that far.
For real.
They're not built for this.
No.
Lost to
Caleb
Princeton
Love
last
is
year.
not built for
Caleb
this.
Love, I mean, they won the national championship at UNC.
Okay, don't get me wrong.
But-
He played at Michigan, right?
No, he committed to Michigan and then couldn't get in because of grades. And
This was like 2 years ago,
this
right?
was this offseason.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
now he went to Arizona instead. I don't know if he couldn't get in because of grades, actually. I think he might have just ended up not coming anyways. But either way, I mean, he made the right choice, I guess. He could also just be at UNC. Oh, dude, we could have had a UNC Arizona rematch, like Caleb Love versus UNC. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Houston, Nebraska. Does Tominaga knock off Houston?
No.
No.
He gets clamped, probably.
Yeah,
he
probably.
has 10.
He probably gets clamped. And then we already picked Duke over Wisconsin because that's just what's going to happen.
Houston's going to beat Duke.
Is Oakland keep the run going, though? I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't just pick Oakland to beat Kentucky just for them to lose in the
real.
second round.
For real.
They're going to the Sweet 16. Shout out Oakland once again. Florida versus Western Kentucky. Now, this is one where we can't pick Western Kentucky to go to the Sweet 16.
we have
Because then we have
Nevada,
Oakland,
New
Oakland versus
Mexico.
Western Kentucky in the Sweet 16. We'll take Florida. Okay.
That's how Oakland gets to the Elite Eight, though.
Exactly, it is. Exactly. Purdue versus Utah State. Is this where Purdue loses, or do they actually get to the Sweet 16?
Oh, they're going to make it to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
This is the year. I mean, I hope.
Are they going to pull Virginia, lose to the 16 seed, and then win the Natty the following year?
I don't know.
No.
Hell no.
McNeese versus Kansas. Dude,
No, I don't think we can have this many. I mean,
we got
to go Kansas.
You're right. South Carolina, Creighton.
I'm taking Creighton all day.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm cool with it.
Last one.
We have to have
Tennessee.
Texas beat Tennessee. We can't have the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the
Yep.
Elite Eight. That
Agreed.
just can't happen.
Agreed.
Okay, so up top here, back into the Eastern region, we have UConn, Auburn, and we have Duquesne, Iowa State in the Elite Eight, or in the Sweet 16. Who makes the Elite Eight out of this group?
What if we went Auburn?
Auburn to upset UConn, dude.
Yep.
I think I feel it.
I feel that.
Auburn to upset
my
UConn,
gibbles.
and then we can't have Duquesne in the Elite Eight.
No, it's
Come on.
Iowa State.
It's Iowa State. So we have Iowa State, Auburn
Are they the
matched up.
Shockers? No, it's Wichita State. They're
Wichita
the
State
Shockers.
is the Shockers, yes.
I kept thinking Shockers. They're Cyclones.
Auburn, Iowa State in the Elite Eight in the East. Moving down to the West, we have UNC St. Mary's and New Mexico, Nevada as our Sweet 16 matchups. I really haven't had many brackets with UNC going far, so I'm cool with taking them at least to the Elite Eight here.
Dude, but defensively, I do too, because I think they're good enough defensively to
Right.
beat St. Mary's.
Okay, so we'll pick them.
Loki, and it's Baycott's last year. Like, he's gonna be playing with heart.
Yeah, it is. New Mexico, Nevada, though. This is a toughie, dude.
I like
We're
Nevada,
gonna
though.
go back to the stats
Yeah,
here.
yep,
We're gonna
yep.
go back to the stats here. Jared Lucas has been balling, it looks like, for
Jamal Mashburn.
Gerard. Yeah, Jamal
What?
Mashburn Jr. is on New Mexico, too. Yeah, because Jamal Mashburn was on the JJ Redick podcast and was just talking about because Rick Pitino's son coaches New Mexico. And they were talking about Rick Pitino on
What a
that.
crazy
Because
this is
Jamal
like a full
Mashburn
circle podcast.
Jamal Mashburn played for Rick Pitino at Louisville, and now his son plays for his son at New Mexico.
That's
Pretty cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't care about these stats. Like,
Nevada.
We picking Nevada. Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Moving back
Stats.
up, Houston Duke.
Houston.
Yeah,
It just has to be. We also don't have a 1 seed right now.
we have UNC,
Oh yeah.
but we'll
here.
take Houston.
I'm not
and
taking
then-
Duke.
Oakland, Florida. I mean, we didn't pick Oakland to make it to the Sweet 16 just to lose.
And Oakland is in
Florida
Florida.
is not going to the Sweet or to the
Oakland
Elite Eight.
County, isn't that? No. What's Florida's county? I think there's an Oakland in Florida.
There probably is. Oakland's a popular name. We're going with Oakland. Oakland is making the
It's
Elite
also in
Eight. Oh
Oakland,
my God.
California. That's
Okay.
awesome, dude. I can't believe it.
Purdue, Kansas.
Oh,
Dickinson versus Edie.
one
Dickinson
last time.
ain't beating Edie, dude.
He's
If
not.
that's the matchup, like I'm not saying I love Purdue,
But I'm taking Edie.
but Edie's dominating over Dickinson. Yeah, give me Purdue. Ugh. And then Creighton, Texas.
Ugh.
Oh, see, this is the problem, right? This is the problem we run into. I don't want Purdue to make the Final Four in our bracket, right?
So who beats them?
So who goes, like, this is picking our Final Four team, Creighton or Texas?
Who's Creighton's big? Do we know that guy?
Yeah, it's
Is it still that big
Baylor
white
Baylor
guy?
Shireman. Yes. He's very good.
I like that.
Trey
then.
Alexander's very good.
And Creighton can shoot it.
I like
man.
Creighton. Dude, let's take him to the Final Four.
Let's take him.
Okay, we're gonna start there. Creighton knocks off
You
Texas,
like
and
Creighton too?
Creighton knocks off Purdue. Watch Creighton lose to the Zips in round one. Okay,
To
Creighton
the MAC school too.
Creighton in the Final Four, down in the Midwest. Moving back up to the South, we're gonna go reverse here. Houston versus Oakland. I think this is where Oakland's run ends. I don't think we can put them in the Final
It was
Four.
fun, Oakland.
It was fun. 14 seed in the Elite Eight. That's awesome.
Loved watching.
Houston. Moving over, Auburn versus Iowa State.
I'm telling
This
you
is
what,
such a
man.
tough pick, dude. I think the winner of this game could be our national champion.
So
Like,
I think a lot of people have the Cyclones going far.
and we take Auburn.
I think we
I think we take
offset it
Auburn.
by taking Auburn.
I think we take Auburn. I agree. Auburn is the sneaky team. Like most people
We're
that have
trying to win
UConn or
this
I.
damn
We're trying to
thing.
win it. Like this isn't. We're not.
we're not
not-
making safe picks
We're
like
not here
everybody
being
else.
sissy boys. Like. Okay, and then we can't pick Nevada to make the Final Four.
No, UNC.
So we pick UNC. All right, our Final Four is Auburn, North Carolina, Houston, and Creighton. Ooh. First things first. We can't just have Auburn knock off UConn and Iowa State just to lose in the Final Four. Right?
It seems like something they do, dude.
It does seem like
That
something
seems
they would
very
do
March
now that I'm
Madnessy.
thinking about it. Like
It's
North
just-
Carolina and the Natty.
It seems like Auburn isn't built like it.
Okay, let's start with the other side.
I'm comfortable. Oh man,
We take Houston.
I think we've screwed up. I think North Carolina shouldn't be in the final.
Okay,
Four.
let's move back down then. But we can't have Nevada.
Does St. Mary's make it?
Oh. Does St. Mary's make
I'm
the
just saying.
Final Four?
When was the last time we've seen a Final Four that was 1-4, 1-3?
You're right.
Just feel like it's a
What was last year's Final Four?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Me either.
God, UConn was a 4 seed. Oh, last year's Final Four was weird.
'Cause-
FAU was at 8 or 9.
Yep.
San Diego State was like a 5. And then that was the upper this part. Who did UConn play in the Final Four? I don't remember. So we take St. Mary's, or do we just say Nevada knocks off North Carolina and they're in the Final
Yes,
Four?
it's the Nevada.
Nevada just
it's
upsets.
Nevada's
Okay,
year.
so Nevada,
yeah.
the 10 seed, is in
Yes.
the Final Four, and
And
but
now
we have to take
Auburn.
Auburn.
Now-
Now we take Auburn. Now we take Houston.
Yes,
Auburn, Houston. Okay,
that was so.
our
worse.
new Final Four. See, this is why I love filling out brackets.
Yeah.
Because instead of just making the changes, I'm just gonna do that in my next bracket. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna finish this one, and the next one, Nevada's making the run. You know, that's
yep.
how I do it. Okay, so our Final Four updated was Auburn, Nevada, Houston, Creighton. Auburn versus Houston in the finale.
Is this the year Houston does it?
I think this could be the year Houston does
Me
it,
too.
right? I think it could be. Kelvin Sampson's led them to be the 1 seed all year. They've looked dominant. They got blown out in that game against Iowa State. I think that's going to make less people pick them, and I think that's why we picked them.
Yep.
I think that is who I picked in my bracket that goes in this group, but I don't really care that much. Like,
Houston. I didn't pick Houston.
Yeah.
I picked.
so there it is. Houston
UConn.
is winning the.
Oh, we got to pick a score.
Oh, we got to pick a score. You're right. It's going to be
Probably 100.
low scoring game. Like Houston's going to clamp. 122 is low. but I'll go with it. 120. We'll go 120.
61 apiece.
124
Yeah.
just to play it a little bit safe. Submit the bracket. Boom, just like that. The high tempo bracket has been created, and it's gonna win the whole
Molly
thing.
did it. That is such an obvious winner. I hope they don't. Good thing this podcast comes out tomorrow and they can't copy our bracket.
It really does.
Like, if they could copy our bracket, this would be boring.
They could. I'll just copy it like tomorrow.
Can they see it right now?
No, but they could just listen to the podcast and make a bracket. As
Good point.
Okay, that's going to do it, everybody, for this week's episode. Thank you once again to Easton for joining the show. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure, High Tempo Bracket Group, it's also on the link on my Instagram and on the High Tempo Instagram. Go look at it. And yeah, that's it. We're out.
Deuces.
Peace.